Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Survive for all. Demon God level talent, my skills never cools down. Chapter 81. Soon, Zhong Fan was brought over. Zhong Fan, activate your ability to talk to it and ask who its owner is. Major General Wang said excitedly to Zhong Fan while constantly observing Boss Xie. This blue crab seems to be the pet of Player Zero. It has not attacked anyone after coming here for so long. Zhong Fan walked forward tremblingly, looking at the huge monster in front of him in horror. If it weren't for the two soldiers supporting him behind him, he might have knelt down. Billy. After activating his ability, Zhong Fan actually started speaking crab language. Boss Xie looked at Zhong Fan in front of him curiously. This two-legged beast could actually communicate with it like its owner. Billy. One person, one crab, you say something to me, beep. 1 minute later, Zhong Fan hurriedly ran to Major General Wang and spoke excitedly. General Wang, I ask them all. This is what the big crab said. His name is Boss Xie, and his owner is called Two-Legged Beast, and he looks the same as us. It also said that its owner had told him not to eat two-legged beasts in the future. Quote. Zhong Fan finished speaking in one breath and felt very excited. He had communicated with other monsters before, but those monsters ignored him at all and only talked about eating. But today this big crab is completely different. Its logic is very clear, and it can even communicate simply. Is this the way to unlock his abilities? If he keeps communicating, is it possible for him to turn this big crab into his pet? He excitedly looked back at Boss Xie in front of him. Being so big, he must be very powerful. No, he must be very powerful. Zhong Fan had just awakened not long ago, so he didn't know about Project Zero. Just as he was imagining, Major General Wang winked at the soldiers behind him, and Zhong Fan was dragged away in an instant. Zhong Fan's abilities are pretty good. Let him join the Hidden Dragon Project and join Zhang Xiaolong's group. Yes. After Major General Wang finished speaking, he turned back and looked at Boss Xie in front of him eagerly. Player Zero is not dead. Bai Yan's ability can indeed be summoned. Although now they can only summon a small pet of Player Zero. But as long as Bai Yan's strength continues to improve, he believes that sooner or later they can summon Player Zero back. And he could feel that this crab was very strong. Zhang Xiaolong, take Bai Yan and your team members to the vicinity of restricted area number 11 now. There is a 20-meter super giant frog that has just broken through the encirclement. Quote. Let's see how strong this big crab is. Soon, Zhang Xiaolong took Bai Yan and others to leave on a plane and headed for the black restricted area No. 11. In a mountainous area, a terrifying giant frog keeps jumping around the mountains. Every time it jumps, it can fly hundreds of meters away. Very fast. The tank unit was blocked by the mountains and could not block it. It had to rely on air forces to barely hold it back. But after more than an hour at most, it will enter a nearby 18-line town. There are still some people in the city who have not yet evacuated. Just when several commanders of the Chinese army were frowning, a piece of news suddenly came over. All ground forces retreat. All ground forces retreat. The team of superpower players sent from above has arrived. Please leave the battlefield as soon as possible. As the words just fell, everyone discovered that not far away, a huge green crab with a height of more than 10 meters suddenly appeared. It has black lines all over its body, and its two pliers are extremely huge and ferocious. At this time, its 8 giant legs were alternating rapidly, walking smoothly on the uneven mountainous ground. On the opposite side, the 20-meter large-mouthed frog suddenly stopped. It looked at Boss Xie who was approaching in a menacing manner, feeling a little uneasy. Although Boss Xie is much smaller than him, he is extremely sensitive after living in the world of monsters all year round. This big crab is a rare mutated monster, not an ordinary blue crab. Quack! The abdomen expanded rapidly, a huge frog croaked in the air, and substantial sound waves spread around. This is a warning from the big-mouthed frog. It wants to scare Boss Xie with its size. But Boss Xie didn't pay any attention to this warning. It has followed Wang Mang since it was a child. It has not learned many other things, only Mang. If you don't accept it, do it. If you can't do it, just wait and develop and then come back to do it. Especially after becoming Wang Meng's summoned beast, it has the ability to be infinitely resurrected. This takes its recklessness to a higher level. In the forest, even Boss Xie, the giant beast of 100 meters, dared to go up to it. Although he was slapped to death every time, Boss Xie never gave up, and he couldn't die anyway. Boss Xie suddenly accelerated and made a fast three-pointer. The big-mouthed frog looked at Boss Xie, who was still approaching rapidly, with a cold look in his eyes. The muscles in its legs continued to expand and exert force, and its body began to slowly adjust its direction. A moment, the ground beneath his feet suddenly cracked, and he jumped up, biting towards Boss Xie with a big mouth full of fangs. The big-mouthed frog has been roaming in the forest for many years and has eaten a lot of blue crabs. How could it be afraid? And in the midst of the electric light and flint, the two big clamps on Boss Xie's chest suddenly swung out, leaving two afterimages. Once, it's just a little crab on the beach. He was even laughed at by many crabs. But in 30 years Hedong, 30 years Hexi, it is no longer the old Boss Xie. For countless days and nights, it kept waving its pliers under the oil lamp. One punch, another punch. It is now super powerful. Boss Xia's pair of pincers were like a snake's head coming out of a hole. He was very fast and clamped the giant frog's open mouth up and down. The big-mouthed frog tried its best to bite it, but two large pliers clamped its big mouth up and down, making it unable to move. Billy, with a loud roar, Boss Xie opened his 8 legs and used his pair of pincers to lift the 20-meter large-mouthed frog into the air. Like an overlord lifting a cauldron. Then its huge pincers opened violently, tearing the 20-meter elite large-mouthed frog in half in an instant. Blood sprayed out like a heavy rain. Countless internal organs, flesh and blood were scattered on Boss Xia's carapace, making his huge body even more ferocious. Far away, all the onlookers of the Chinese army stood aside blankly. This big crab is so strong. This was a 20-meter elite supergiant frog, and it was torn in half with just one move. What kind of strange power is this? Zhang Xiaolong and others next to him were also stunned. What level is this crab? Isn't its strength too terrifying? Ever since Zhang Xiaolong joined Project Zero, he learned that there was actually an extremely mysterious player Zero in China. The first level 10 player who appeared in the game's public beta was actually number 0. In order to obtain 10 pieces of purple materials, Project Zero mobilized almost all players and troops in China, and many people died. In fact, sometimes he doesn't understand either. Isn't he just a player? As for spending so much money to summon him. But now, he understands. He didn't know how strong player Zero was. But this big crab is really strong beyond imagination. Bureau 826 Underground Secret Base. The conference room was already full of people. Everyone looked at the live broadcast on the screen. Boss Xia's powerful attack directly hit their hearts. It's really too strong. In recent times, monsters have been escaping from the encirclement, which has caused the whole country to panic and caused great turmoil in society. Especially this kind of supergiant frogs. They are huge, very fast, and terrifyingly powerful. In the face of this giant monster, we can only rely on the human sea tactic and risk our lives. Many soldiers and super players have died from its mouth. Today, the big crab in the video actually easily killed this terrifying beast in an instant. Is this the pet of player Zero? It's so powerful. This must be the summoned beast carefully cultivated by player Zero. Great, with this big crab, the defensive pressure in the black penalty area will be much less. Soon, order after order was conveyed from the 826 secret base. This made Zhang Xiaolong, Bai Yan and the others busy. Since the last time the black restricted area suddenly expanded twice, the frequency of monster invasions has become more frequent, which forced Wagwo's recruitment plan to be launched in advance. Now, if you want to become a super player, in addition to passing the martial arts test, you can also get priority as a soldier to obtain player qualifications. Of course, if you can mutate and awaken, you will also become a specially recruited talent. But even though martial arts exams are constantly expanding, and many Chinese soldiers have become super players, the invasion of super monsters is still making the situation worse. And now, the appearance of Boss Xie finally eased the situation. In the next period of time, Zhang Xiaolong took Bai Yan on a plane and kept flying around the country, acting as a firefighter. As long as there is a super beast that escapes from the black restricted area, they will ask Bai Yan to summon Boss Xie. And all the super beasts are not the enemies of Boss Xie, and they are completely tortured by Boss Xie almost as soon as they meet. Even with his super strength and huge clamps, Boss Xie helped the army capture many super beasts alive. In the secret base of Bureau 826, Li Yong looked at a large number of videos in his hand, all of which showed Boss Xie powerfully killing various giant monsters. This crab is really too strong. It can almost walk sideways on Blue Star, and no creature is its opponent. According to the latest data report, the hardness of its carapace has exceeded that of titanium alloy, the bite force of its clips has reached 1,000 times that of a crocodile, and its speed has exceeded 800 kilometers per hour. Li Yong held the report in his hand tightly, feeling a little lucky. Fortunately, Boss Xie is the pet of Player Zero. If Boss Xie is a monster invading from another world, I am afraid that if all the players in China are dispatched, they may not be able to capture Boss Xie. He glanced at the video in front of him, which kept showing Mr. Xie showing off his power. You go and edit these videos and make them into recruitment videos. I hope that everyone can see this short video on their mobile phones tomorrow morning. Yes. As everyone around him retreated, Li Yong picked up Project Zero again. They mobilized the whole country to summon Player Zero, but failed in the end. But it's not a complete failure, at least they summoned a big crab back. A crab is so strong, so how strong will number Zero be now? He once again took out all the information of Player Zero and looked through it over and over again. He wants to find out what's different about Player Zero. The next day, Zhang Fan turned on his phone and a video popped up instantly. Only seen in the screen. A 20-meter-long super tree pig is wreaking havoc in the city. Hundreds of Chinese troops are using various methods to block it, but with little success. Under the protection of the rules of the game, it cannot be killed at all. Just when everyone is helpless. Sudden, the scene changes. On the road, a girl wearing a white dress came over. She has a slender figure, and a big hat covers her face, making her look frail. Beside her, a huge blue crab more than 10 meters high was standing next to her, silently guarding her. A weak girl, a behemoth like an iron armor. This huge contrast shocked everyone's hearts. The tree pigs that were wreaking havoc in the city just now suddenly became quiet. Soon, the two giant beasts collided violently. In just one round, Boss Xie unleashed his might and pinned the tree pig to the ground. Looking at Boss Xie showing off his power on the mobile phone screen, Zhang Fan felt his heart aching. Before, he wanted to conquer this super powerful crab through his own abilities. As a result, he later found out that he was just a tool. Because my inherent talent is that I am a language expert and can communicate with Boss Xie, I arranged for myself to go there at that time. The real owner of this super cancer is actually the highest level and most talented space summoner in China, Bai Yan. Looking at the powerful giant crab on the phone screen, Zhang Fan could only shed tears of envy. But it's okay. Principal Chen talked to him alone yesterday and said that the higher-ups were preparing to build the strongest ace team in China with Bai Yan as the core. And because of his special talent, he could communicate with Boss Xie, so he was fortunate to be one of the substitutes. Zhang Fan took another look at the thin girl on the phone. I didn't expect that. The disabled girl who gritted her teeth under the tree and persisted had finally become the strongest super player in China, a being that he looked up to. How unpredictable things are. Withdrawing his thoughts, Zhang Fan stopped thinking about it. He hurriedly ran to the seafood market and bought a bundle of hairy crabs and a bundle of blue crabs, all of which were female. As Mr. Xia's exclusive translator, he realized that Mr. Xie was very lonely when he chatted with him yesterday. He once had a girlfriend named Mimi, but for some reasons, they had to be separated. So today, he specially picked some female hairy crabs and female blue crabs. Although compared with Boss Xie, he is a bit smaller. But Thumbelina is always a girl, and it's good to have some eye addiction. Recently he also figured it out. The talent I awakened is only a 3-star talent, language expert. With this kind of rubbish talent, I'm afraid I'll never have the chance to become a god or ancestor in this life. Therefore, he decided to have a good relationship with Boss Xie in the future. This crab is so strong, if he becomes the crab emperor in the future, he might become the #1 boy under him. By then, Zhang Fan will still take off. With this thought, he instantly felt much more relaxed and his steps became cheerful. Just after Zhang Fan entered the base carrying 2 bundles of crabs, several military armored vehicles slowly arrived at Xuanshan Super High School. At this time, Principal Chen is sitting in the office, holding a piece of information in his hand. Just the other day, the above has officially decided to form the Chinese Ace Team. As more and more super monsters in the black penalty area break through the encirclement, the role of ordinary players becomes less and less obvious. China is in urgent need of a group of top super players to hunt those super monsters. After several months of running in, many players' data has been mastered by them. It can be said that the Ace Team selected this time is one of the best among players in terms of talent, character, and ability. Only in this way are the elites among the elites worthy of more resources. The decision above was to form 18 Ace Teams. Among them, 14 Ace Teams will guard near the 14 black penalty areas. The remaining 4 Ace Teams will be the strongest super players in China. They will act as firefighters and provide support wherever needed. The #1 Ace Team of China has been determined. It is the first team with Bai Yan as the core. Boss Xia's recent performance is obvious to all. His strength is too strong, and there is no objection from above. Principal Chen drank wolfberry tea and looked at the information in his hand. And today, there will be 2 very special 5-star talent players coming. They are the team members specially prepared for Bai Yan. Principal Chen rubbed his head. These 2 were not peaceful masters. I'm afraid waiting would be enough to give him a headache. Several military pickup trucks were parked at the entrance of Xuanshan Superpower High School. 2 figures, one short and one tall, came out. The short one is only about 1.6 meters tall, with a full head of broken hair that is dyed golden. Even if he is wearing military uniform, he can't hide his arrogance. The other man is nearly 1.9 meters tall, has a slender figure, wears glasses, is polite, and always has a faint smile at the corner of his mouth. As soon as the 2 got out of the car, they went straight to Principal Chen's office in a menacing manner. Soon, the 2 of them broke into the door and rushed into Principal Chen's office. Although Zheng Tianba, who has golden broken hair, is not tall, he is full of arrogance. He put his hands in his pockets, pointed his nostrils at Principal Chen, stepped on the desk, and asked disdainfully. Tell me, where is Bai Yan? Principal Chen sat on his desk, drinking wolfberry tea, unmoved. He had heard about these 2 people for a long time, and they both had very bad personalities. If it weren't for the super 5-star talents that both of them had awakened, the country would never have included them in the Qianlong project. But this is a special moment after all, and although their characters are bad, at least they are not anti-country and anti-human, they are just a little young and frivolous. Principal Chen drank wolfberry tea and said calmly. You 2 have traveled a long distance and are probably tired. I have arranged a place for you to rest. Once you have rested, you can see your captain tomorrow. Zheng Tianba stared at Principal Chen, and seeing that he remained unmoved, he snorted coldly and walked away. What kind of bullshit principal? He's just an ordinary person. After going out, a female soldier came over and led them. Zheng Tianba's face had always been gloomy. He glanced at the smiling man with glasses next to him and asked unhappily. Dante, you can still laugh, don't you have any ideas? Dante smiled, his eyes kept squinting, making it impossible to see his inner thoughts. Any ideas? Just obey the order. HMPH. Stop coming. Zhenshinba snorted coldly and stopped talking. Just the other day, the superiors suddenly transferred him and asked him to form the first Ace Team. He was very happy at first, but after learning that the captain was not himself, he has always been worried. I am a super player who has awakened the 5-star inherent talent, and I am also one of the first batch of initial players. His 5-star talent can be said to be the strongest among all players. No, his ability is the strongest. No one. And now, the superiors actually asked him to be a woman's lackey. How is this possible? He, Zheng Tianba, will never be a dog for others in this life. Even if we cooperate with the country now, it's just that each has its own needs and uses each other. Although the crabs summoned by Bai Yan are indeed very powerful, she is a rubbish summoner after all, with limited growth potential. But my 5-star talent has endless possibilities. Even in the later stages, his strength will become stronger and stronger. I really don't know what those mediocre people above think, I simply can't understand it. Tomorrow, he will challenge Bai Yan in person. No matter how strong that crab is, so what? As long as he can personally defeat Bai Yan, who is the summoner, he will still win. He will use his strength to prove that he is the strongest one. The next day, in the underground air raid shelter of Xuanshan Super High School, Bai Yan was hiding behind Zhang Xiaolong. She was a little scared. Although the two people in front of her were wearing military uniforms, they didn't look like good people. Especially Zheng Tianba opposite, he glared angrily and stared at Bai Yan, as if he wanted to eat her alive. Looking at the trembling Bai Yan in front of him, the anger in Zheng Tianba's heart burned even more fiercely. Is this the strongest super player in China? What kind of international joke are you kidding? This woman looks extremely weak at first glance. No matter how strong her abilities are, she will never become strong with this kind of character. A strong person should be like him. With super strong and abnormal talents. Have a firm and courageous belief. Will be excited and trembling when facing strong enemies. Never back down in the face of desperate situations. Bai Yan, you disappoint me so much. You don't deserve to be the strongest super player in China. With that said, Zheng Tianba stood on the high platform and pointed at Bai Yan disdainfully. Come up and fight me. If you win, you will be qualified to be the captain. Zhang Xiaolong looked a little unhappy at the brat in front of him. Where did this brat come from? Is he so crazy about a cool guy? Do you know how strong Mr. Crab is? Bai Yan, don't be afraid. Go up and teach this brat a lesson. Bai Yan looked at Zhang Xiaolong and timidly stepped onto the stage. She really didn't like fighting. Principal Chen stood aside, looked at Zheng Tianba and smiled. Zheng Tianba, formerly known as Zheng Yuan, is 17 years old. After becoming a player and awakening his 5-star talent, he changed his name to Zheng Tianba regardless of his family's objections. Although he is somewhat arrogant and middle-class in character, he is not very disciplined. But his strength is indeed super strong, and his outlook on life is relatively positive. His 5-star inherent talent, refresh. You only need to consume some energy to refresh your skills infinitely. It can be said to be a magical skill. Not only is he extremely talented, he is also extremely eager to fight, and he also has great potential in practicing the secret skills of ancient Chinese martial arts. It can be said that he is one of the top super players in China. However, Principal Chen shook his head. In front of Boss Xie, he was still too weak. On the high platform, the battle is about to break out. Bai Yan put her hands on her chest and summoned Boss Xie instantly. Looking at the giant object that was more than 10 meters high in front of him, Zheng Tianba did not panic at all, but became even more excited. He turned his head and glanced at Bai Yan, who was hiding behind Boss Xie, with disdain. It is indeed difficult for him to defeat this super giant crab. But it is easy to defeat Bai Yan. Bai Yan, this crab is indeed very powerful, but do you know what my ability is? Zheng Tianba smiled wildly, and a fireball the size of a fist slowly rose in his hand. My abilities are infinitely refreshed. The scorching fireball in his hand keeps spinning. This is the small fireball technique from his novice treasure chest, although its power is only equivalent to a grenade. But match it with your own inherent talent, refresh. As long as he has enough energy, he can fire unlimited fireballs. He is the most powerful master in the world. Unlimited firepower mode. Oiler, oiler, oiler. Fireballs continued to form in Zheng Tianba's hands, flying towards Boss Xie continuously. There was a terrifying explosion and the fire was so bright that it was hard to keep your eyes open. But after the violent explosion, Boss Xie in front of him was unscathed. Since Wang Meng changed his profession, although his talent potential has only been improved twice, he has also made it a purple rare quality monster, the same super powerful monster as the original black crystal spider. Attacks like fireballs are simply impossible to break through its defense, no matter how many there are, they can't break it. Boss Xie raised a big clamp and pulled his head, looking at Zheng Tianba in front of him in confusion. Billy, why does this Twi'leg keep spitting on itself? So disgusting. Sudden, A huge water cannon spurts out. The speed was so fast that only a black shadow flashed. Boom! After a muffled sound, Zheng Tianba flew dozens of meters away in an instant, put his hands on the ground, and vomited blood crazily. Kneel on the ground. Zheng Tianba's face was filled with shock and he couldn't believe it. What is going on? Why is this crab's water cannon so fast? At that moment, he didn't react at all. This big crab is not at the same level as those elite blue crabs. Impossible, impossible, how can you be so strong? Zheng Tianba suddenly raised his head, vomiting blood and roaring crazily. I saw him slowly put his palm on his chest. Refresh. Activate inherent talent. Zheng Tianba's injuries recovered instantly. His talent can not only refresh his skills, but also his own status. As long as the energy is not exhausted, he has countless lives. It's a pity that his refreshing talent cannot refresh his own energy, otherwise why would Zheng Tianba have to cooperate with the country? Bai Yan, I was just careless just now I will show you my true strength. A red fireball floated in Zheng Tianba's hand again. He yelled crazily, not believing that he lost so easily. As soon as he finished shouting, Boss Xia's figure moved. 8 giant legs intertwined rapidly, and the giant truck-sized claws created an afterimage. Boom! In just a moment, the super-giant pliers smashed down beside him, causing earth and rocks to fly and create a deep pit in the ground. Zheng Tianba, who was shouting just now, suddenly became quiet. His eyes were wide open and he stood aside. This crab is so fast. I just couldn't react at all. If this crab hadn't shown mercy, he might have been smashed into a puddle of meat by now. Space shrinks. Boss Xie disappeared instantly. Bai Yan jumped down from the high platform in fear. She looked nervously at the lost Zheng Tianba opposite and spoke in a low voice. Well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Zheng Tianba sat on his knees, motionless, lowered his head and remained silent. Principal Chen saw that it was almost done, walked over with a smile, and acted as peacemaker. Tianba, I've said it before, you can't beat Bai Yan. Zheng Tianba knelt on the ground, lowered his head, unmoved. Principal Chen shook his head. This child had been too smooth sailing before and had not been severely beaten by society. Soon everyone dispersed, leaving Zheng Tianba alone, kneeling on the high platform. The slender Dante stood in the corner. He pushed up his glasses and looked at the direction Bai Yan left. According to his current understanding, the highest awakening talent in the world is 5 stars. As the most powerful super player officially launched by China, Bai Yan's talent level has always been a mystery. However, judging from just now, the crab she summoned was stronger than the one seen in the video. I'm afraid, she is also a very special 5-star summoning talent. Dante took a deep look at the direction Bai Yan left, his eyes narrowed, and he didn't know what he was thinking. After a while, he looked back at Zheng Tianba on the high platform and shook his head helplessly. Although this guy's talent is good, there is something wrong with his head. Hey, Zheng Tianba, how long are you going to kneel here? Let's go. Why? Zheng Tianba's body suddenly bounced up, and he patted his knees with a serious expression on his face. The group of people just now were so rude, and no one called him out to give him a step down. He knelt for a long time and his legs were numb. The next day, the number 1 ace team with Bai Yan as the core was finally established. Principal Chen held the list in his hand and smiled with satisfaction. It's a pity that player 0 can't come back, otherwise he would be the leader of the first ace team. Sighed, Principal Chen called Li Jun over and handed him some things prepared in advance. Today is the day to travel again. These are the videos his family took for him, and everything he asked for before has been prepared for him. You tell him that the country will definitely not give up on him. Let him hold on. Bai Yan will summon him back sooner or later. Li Jun nodded, took his things with him, took out 10 purple materials, and soon traveled to the desert island again. At this time, Wang Meng is in the forest. He has transformed into a 10-meter tall super muscular giant. His whole body is red, his energy and blood are spreading like heat waves, and a large amount of steam surrounds his body. In the sky, countless exaggerated water droplets fell from a height of 10,000 meters. This downpour is like a doomsday natural disaster, which makes people feel frightened when they see it. But Wang Meng stood on a huge rock, completely ignoring the pouring rain around him. At this time, no matter how heavy the rain was, it could not extinguish the burning fire in his heart. Because opposite him was the 100-meter Black King Kong. He just couldn't bear it anymore. It's so lonely and depressing on this desert island. Li Jun's sudden alienation last time may cause him to lose contact with the real world forever. This also brought to the surface the emotions he had suppressed for a long time. Recently, he always felt that some terrifying existence would appear on the ground under his feet at any time and pull him into the abyss. He had to fight, he had to rekindle his inner fire. The 50-meter giant monster can no longer satisfy him. He needs to have a life and death showdown with this 100-meter Black King Kong. Just when he was about to take action, the panel suddenly sounded a beep. At last, Wang Mang and the Black King Kong still didn't fight. Because Li Jun is online. It was pouring rain outside. Under a huge tree, a huge blue crab blocked the door of the tree hole, blocking out the rain. Wang Mang hid in a tree hole, opened the chat interface, and was chatting with Li Jun, even filling in all the words he didn't say last time. After talking nonsense for 3 hours, they got down to business. Classmate Wang Mang, I brought you all the things you asked me to bring last time, including the latest video your family took for you, which I have put together in the auction mall. Family videos. Wang Mang listened to these words blankly and muttered to himself. Family. So far away. He has only been away from home for a few months, but why does it feel like decades have passed? The longer we stay on this desert island, the more obvious the feeling of time and space is. This desert island has a deeper and deeper influence on him. Especially after the public beta test of the game, all players went offline, and the sense of time confusion was even more obvious. Wang Mang rubbed his eyes, took out hundreds of purple materials, experience books, and unnecessary blue equipment from his space backpack, and hung them all in the auction mall. This is part of what he has gained from hunting monsters in recent times. Letters from home are worth 10,000 yuan. In his opinion, these precious materials are not as important as this video. After taking the package from the auction mall, Li Jun exited the chat interface. Turning on the phone, familiar faces, familiar voices, and his family met him again across the screen. It was pouring rain outside. In the tree hole, the two-legged beast that made all the monsters in the forest frightened was crying like rain. The next day, after the rain, the sky clears up. The sun shines through the leaves. Boss Xie was crawling on the huge tree roots, while Wang Mang was lying in the small wooden box, happily playing with his mobile phone. This is the mobile phone he used when he was in school, and it also contains various standalone games. Unexpectedly, Li Jun actually brought it here yesterday. Playing the games he had played before, his body and mind had never felt so relaxed. Since arriving on the desert island, he just kept killing. Never stopped. When I'm tired, I cook and eat alone. I got bored, so I kept talking to Boss Xie and Heibao alone. It stands to reason that since he has a pet, he should not be so lonely, and this is one of the reasons why he chose the summoner profession in the first place. But this desert island has a big problem, it is infinitely amplifying its loneliness. He didn't know, was there something wrong with this desert island? Or was there something wrong with the entire world? Fortunately, Li Jun arrived in time yesterday, otherwise he might have fought with the 100-meter level Black King Kong. At that time, when he was leaving, the Black King Kong kept staring at his back and did not come forward. I'm afraid this Black King Kong also knows that he is not easy to mess with. Although he was a little regretful that he could not have a life and death fight with such a super beast. But he was also a little lucky that he didn't really take action at that time. Don't know why, he had a premonition. As long as he kills the 100-meter Black King Kong, he'll get a clue. I'm afraid I'll see that black mosaic figure again. At the same time, he could also have a premonition that after killing this Black King Kong, some kind of change would definitely occur in Blue Star. His family and friends are still on Blue Star. Therefore, he would not rashly hunt this 100-meter Black King Kong unless absolutely necessary. Yesterday he almost took action because he couldn't bear it anymore. Fortunately, Li Jun came in time and brought him a lot of good things. He played the standalone version of King of Pesticide on his mobile phone and started to follow the latest anime, all of which were brought to him by Li Jun. Even the dozens of G's collected in his computer were brought over. I finally don't have to watch Brother Zhang's European and American movies anymore, so cool. I don't know whether it was intentional or not, but most of the things Li Jun brought over this time were entertainment-oriented. I guess he's afraid that I'll be too bored here. He's such a good person. Wang Meng sighed, turned on his phone, and started playing the game again. Recently, he decided to relax and adjust his condition first. At this time, Boss Xie was carrying several trees and spiritual plants on his left and right sides, and a large wooden box on his back. It walks on a huge tree trunk and walks very horizontally. The two clips show off their power and walk like an emperor. Recent, it went crazy on Blue Star, was complemented by a group of two-legged beasts like its master, and lived a life like an emperor. Not only did the two-legged beast make delicious food for him, but there was also a two-legged beast that could speak crab language and said some nice words in his ear every day to make him feel comfortable. It's a pity that the crab over there is too small, otherwise life would be really perfect. Boss Xie crawled on the roots of the tree very carefully while reminiscing about Blue Star's happy life. The owner is resting, so it must walk carefully and steadily. Otherwise, if you accidentally hit the owner later, you might get beaten by the owner again. Although he is always beaten by his master, Boss Xie still likes to be with his master and be his master's mount. It likes to go on adventures with its owner on its back. Billy, Billy, Boss Xie hummed happily while walking all the way in the forest. Whenever the monsters around him see him, they will open their eyes wide and run away in fear. Even those 20-meter, 30-meter, and 50-meter super beasts would run as fast as they could after seeing Boss Xie. Because they know that behind this strange crab, there will always be a small two-legged beast crawling out. And that two-legged beast is very scary. Eat the monster without spitting out its bones. Mr. Xie climbed to the foot of a tall coconut tree, and hit the trunk with two clamps. Soon, a room-sized coconut fell down. Boss Xie picked up the coconut with a clip and handed it to Wang Meng respectfully. Wang Meng put his palm against the coconut and started to use the decomposition skill. Soon, the room-sized coconut in front of me turned into little stars and disappeared. Ding! 30 gold coins were spent, the decomposition was successful, and 110 coconut milk and 70 coconut fruits were obtained. On this deserted island, he has been experimenting with various skills on the panel. The decomposition skill is the most practical. Through constant use, he discovered that the decomposition skill could not only decompose the corpses of various monsters, but could even decompose forest trees, coconuts, stones, etc. As long as it is any item on the desert island, he can break it down, except for treasure chests. But the strange thing is that decomposing monster corpses does not require gold coins, but decomposing trees and stones actually requires additional gold coins. Wang Meng looked at the portions of coconut juice that were decomposed in his hand, feeling a little lost. In fact, he had already felt that this decomposition skill would consume energy. When decomposing a monster corpse, although the materials obtained are refined, some of the monster's body will still be consumed out of thin air. This is the price of decomposition. However, because the decomposed coconuts, trees, ingredients, etc. cannot meet the consumption standards, additional gold coins must be provided. But most of the gold coins are actually exchanged for monster materials and flesh in the auction mall. In other words, the use of all functions in the panel, even the auction mall, is actually constantly recycling monster corpses. So where did these monster corpses go? He casually took out a portion of freshly decomposed coconut juice from his space backpack, inserted a straw into it, and drank it. Not only does this thing come in a bottle, it also has a straw, which is really outrageous. But it can also be found from these that this decomposition skill seems to be specially customized for humans. Wang Meng drank coconut juice and his thoughts drifted into the distance. There were too many mysteries in this world, and he couldn't think deeply about many things at all. Boss Xie kept carrying Wang Meng forward in the forest at a very fast speed. Soon, they came to an open space. In this desert island, apart from the beach, there is a huge forest, and this place is the only open space. It's very special here. This open space is very large, and all the plants seem to be afraid to grow around it for some reason. In the middle of the open space, there are 9 super giant trees standing very regularly, each of which exceeds a kilometer. Even the giant tree in the middle has reached into the sky. Under these giant trees, there are also various large mushrooms of different heights growing. The smallest of these mushrooms are several meters high, and the large ones are even more than hundreds of meters tall. They are neatly and regularly distributed around the 9 giant trees, like stars over the moon. But, whether it is these big mushrooms or these giant trees, they are actually dead long ago. They have all turned into stone sculptures like fossils, corroded by time and become pitted. Even those super giant trees only have some bare trunks left. Wang Meng stood on Boss Xia's back and stopped at the outskirts of the open space without moving forward. These 9 giant trees are very similar to the one guarded by the Black King Kong, and they feel that they should be of the same origin. However, this open space is not guarded by powerful monsters, and even all the monsters in the forest dare not approach it easily. Thank you, boss, get down. Wang Meng jumped off Boss Xia's back, and then moved down the spiritual plants and large wooden boxes that Boss Xie was carrying. Later, he was going to let Boss Xie go up to explore the way, and these spiritual plants were all his hard-earned wealth, and he had to protect them. As for Boss Xie, he can resurrect him anyway, so it doesn't matter. Even this wooden box is a little more important than Boss Xie. Climbing onto Boss Xia's head, Wang Meng installed a recording camera on it. He specially asked Li Jun to bring it here. After everything was ready, Wang Meng tilted his head and glanced at Ambassador Xie. Thank you, boss. You go ahead and explore the way for me. I will introduce you to the female hairy crab another day. When the boss heard this, his vertical eyes stood up excitedly. He happily raised the big clip high and rushed out sideways. Billy, sure enough, I am the #1 general under my master, and I am deeply favored by him. The female spider Heibao will only be envious of it, hee. Soon, Boss Xie happily rushed into the giant mushroom group and disappeared. Seeing Boss Xie disappearing, Wang Meng directly picked up his big box and spiritual plants, turned around and jumped to a giant tree, hiding in the shade and observing the front carefully. Recently, as he became stronger and stronger, he also kept exploring this desert island. And this open space is the most special place around. He had explored the surroundings several times before, but each time he did not dare to go deep. Although he felt that with his current strength, this strange place might not be able to hurt him. But as the saying goes, be careful and sail the boat forever. What's more, on this strange desert island, anything can happen. Therefore, he decided to let Boss Xie go up and explore the way. Anyway, even if this guy dies, he can resurrect it indefinitely. Soon, Boss Xia's figure disappeared from sight. After a long time, the surroundings were still dead silent, without any movement. Boss Xie seemed to be swallowed up by the mushrooms and disappeared without a trace. Wang Meng frowned slightly. Boss Xie was his summon, and he could feel that this guy was not dead yet. What is this kid doing? Why doesn't he come back? After waiting for a long time, Wang Meng became impatient and directly activated his summoning ability. In an instant, Boss Xie appeared beside him. I saw 2 big white and tender mushrooms on the left and right sides of Mr. Xia's tongs, and he was eating them very happily. He didn't even know that Wang Meng had returned, but he was still eating. Wang Meng stepped forward and used the decomposition skill directly on the 2 large mushrooms on its clip. Ding! The decomposition was successful and 2 copies of blue quality white jade mushrooms were obtained. Material: white jade mushroom. Type: spiritual material. Quality: blue excellent. Introduction: magic mushrooms from the land of forests have a certain spirituality. Effect: after taking it, 300 points of energy can be quickly restored, and the upper limit of energy value can be permanently increased by a small amount. Note: when the user's energy value exceeds 500, the effect of permanently increasing the energy value limit will disappear. Rating: 2.5 stars. Wang Meng stared at the panel attributes of the white jade mushroom and muttered to himself. Forest Country. This was the second time he saw this name. When he killed the giant piranha for the first time, he got a strange object, which also came from the land of forests. These 2 things are actually related. Playing with the white jade mushroom in his hand, the mushroom that was as big as an umbrella is now only the size of a thumb, and its whole body is crystal clear, like white jade. This is actually an extremely rare treasure that can permanently increase the energy limit. However, His energy value has already exceeded 500 points, and this thing seems to be of no use to him now. Let's leave it to Bai Yan, she seems to be quite lacking in energy. After making the decision, Wang Meng put the white jade mushroom into his space backpack under the look of resentment in Boss Xia's eyes. After putting away the mushrooms, he took off the camera from Boss Xia. When the monitor is turned on, the images just recorded are revealed. In fact, he had been thinking about a problem a long time ago. Why do people become more and more depressed the longer they stay on this desert island? At first he thought it was because he was too afraid of being alone, but judging from his subsequent experiences, it may not be that simple. His current mental strength has exceeded the limit of ordinary humans several times. With this mental strength, if it was just an ordinary desert island, he would have no problem staying alone for 3 or 5 years. Moreover, he can also use super enchantment on himself to greatly improve his basic attributes and mental resistance. But even so, his mood on this desert island is very unstable. Thinking back to the time when I first traveled through time, players can only stay on the desert island for 3 days, and then rest in the real world for 7 days. This was obviously deliberately arranged, because the people behind the scenes know that you cannot stay on this desert island for too long, otherwise the players will die collectively. And he doesn't want the player to die. Wang Meng remembered the black mosaic figure he met in the administrator's room again. I asked him what his purpose was at that time. He answered that he wanted to save the world. I'm afraid if you want to know the secret of this deserted island, you have to enter the administrator's room again. But Wang Meng didn't trust the black figure. He only believes in himself now and the fist in his hand. Withdrawing his thoughts, Wang Meng stared closely at the picture on the screen. From Boss Xia's perspective, it keeps moving forward. There are big mushrooms of different heights everywhere. These mushrooms are very strange. They are like human houses, with a hollow in the middle and broken grids around them, like doors and windows. The picture in the video keeps rotating, and from time to time you can see some strange symbols on these mushroom houses, which seem to be a special kind of writing. Boss Xia was very fast. He passed through the dense mushrooms and soon came to the foot of a giant tree. This is one of the 9 super giant trees. Climbing up along the huge tree roots, you can vaguely see traces of various civilizations around you. Strange text symbols, passages that spiral upward like stairs, and even exquisite reliefs carved on this giant tree, like a totem. Boss Xia looked at the glowing screen in front of Wang Meng, and the 2 crabs raised their eyes and turned around. It moved its huge body carefully and secretly huddled behind Wang Meng, watching curiously. Just as he was looking at it with excitement, Wang Meng suddenly kicked it to the ground. Can you run slower next time? I didn't see anything clearly about such important information. Wang Meng glared at it, and then continued to look at the perspective on the screen. Boss Xia got up aggrievedly, raised his eyes high, and sneaked over again. In the screen, Boss Xia walked all the way along the roots of the tree, and soon came to the trunk, where a huge tree hole appeared. Even Mr. Crab's huge body can easily enter it. And in the tree hole, something seemed to be attracting Boss Xia, and its purpose was very clear. Enter the tree hole and move forward. In the dark tree hole, a piece of light suddenly appeared in front, and the light blue fluorescence illuminated the surroundings. I saw a small dry pond in the deepest part of the tree hole, still emitting a faint blue fluorescence. At the bottom, a dozen large white jade-like mushrooms were growing there with difficulty. The next scene was that Boss Xia was summoned back by himself. Why do these mushroom clusters look like cities? And those symbols should be some kind of writing. Wang Meng recalled the scene in the video. This strange wasteland turned out to be the site of some kind of civilization. It's a pity that Boss Xia ran too fast just now and couldn't see many things clearly in the video. Just when Wang Meng was about to ask Boss Xia to go there again, Boss Xia's body suddenly began to slowly fade away. Then there was a snap and disappeared. Seeing this scene, Wang Meng did not panic, but showed an envious look. This is Bai Yan activating her power to summon Boss Xia. Every time he sees it, he can only feel envious and jealous. Did Boss Xia save the world in his previous life? Who is the protagonist? Wang Meng stared blankly at the place where Boss Xia disappeared and muttered to himself. Is Blue Star in trouble again? But Boss Xia is so weak, I wonder if this thin dog can handle it. At this time, Blue Star, outside the 6th Black Penalty area. There was continuous artillery fire and fighter planes were circling in the sky. Just half an hour ago, 3 20-meter super monsters suddenly appeared in the 6th Black Penalty area. This is the first time that 3 20-meter super monsters have appeared in the Black Penalty area at the same time. A 20-meter super blue crab. A 20-meter super giant frog. A 20-meter super black spider. At the same time as these super beasts, there are hundreds of monsters ranging from 3 to 10 meters. Although under attack from various heavy thermal weapons, these giant monsters are not worth mentioning. But if they can be resurrected indefinitely, then the situation is completely different. The troops around the 6th Black Restricted Area have been washing the ground with artillery fire for half an hour. But this can only restrain these giant beasts in place, but cannot really kill them. The high-level players around the 6th Restricted Area have gathered. The artillery unit will hold back the other 2 monsters in a moment, allowing the players to kill one first. Receive. Just when everyone looked serious and prepared to take action. Horizon. A helicopter flew in. A terrifying blue crab suddenly appeared in midair. Then it hit hard from a high altitude, falling to the ground like a meteor, raising a lot of dust. Before the dust dispersed, Boss Shia's huge figure penetrated quickly from inside. The 8 giant legs alternated rapidly, even creating afterimages. In just a dozen breaths, Boss Xie collided with 3 giant beasts. Suddenly, earth and rocks cracked, houses collapsed, and the huge impact could be clearly heard thousands of meters away. The artillery fire in the distance has stopped, and a large number of troops have begun to evacuate. Countless people around were cheering. Shirakami. Shirakami is finally here. Is this Shirakami's god-level summon? It's really strong. I only saw the middle of the battlefield. The 4 giant beasts struck the ground, shaking the mountains and turning the sky into darkness. Boss Xie fights 1 against 3, just like 3 heroes fighting Lu Bu, majestic and killing everyone. Although it is the smallest in size, it completely surpasses the 3 giant beasts in terms of strength, speed and defense. Faced with the siege of the 3 giant beasts, Boss Xie kept waving his clamp, making it airtight. In the world of monsters, it is just a little mount under its owner, always being bullied by those super monsters. But in Blue Star, it strikes hard, I am invincible, and directly suppresses the entire world. Beep. Re. In the center of the battlefield, Boss Xie was surrounded by 3 giant beasts. The huge pliers were like hot wheels, spinning at extremely high speeds, causing strong winds to rage around them. The 8 giant legs crisscrossed rapidly, causing earth and rocks to fly, and even afterimages appeared. Under Boss Xia's mad dog-like fighting style, the 3 giant beasts were soon seriously injured. They turned and fled, wanting to return to the Black Restricted Area again. Unfortunately, it's too late. The 2 large pliers intertwined with each other, and the 20-meter large-mouthed frog was disemboweled. Running fast with 8 legs, he soon caught up with the 20-meter giant spider beast and killed it. The last 20-meter elite blue crab did not escape Boss Xia's clutches. Who made it a male crab? Boss Xie would never show mercy to a male crab. The latter was baptized by artillery fire in the open space. Boss Xie dragged the huge corpses of the 3 monsters forward slowly, leaving 3 long traces on the ground. It holds its head high and is majestic. It has been walking sideways since it was born. It is not afraid of anyone except its owner. Throwing the corpses of the 3 giant beasts under his feet, he raised the 2 pliers high. Boss Xie looked up at the sky, was silent for a moment, and then suddenly roared in the sky. Beep. Re. This roar directly turned on a certain switch, and all the surrounding soldiers began to raise their guns and cheer. The thousands of onlookers around also fell silent. The strongest super player in China, Bai Yan. It's so terrifying. Not only is she the highest level super player in China, she also has the extraordinary talent of summoning god-level monsters. Over this period of time, Bai Yan's fame has swept across the country and even shocked the entire world. As 20-meter super monsters continue to appear in Black Restricted Areas around the world, a large number of incidents of monsters injuring people have occurred in major countries. In just over a month, more than 100 million people around the world have died at the mouth of the monster. Moreover, some scientists have confirmed that after monsters continue to devour humans, they will evolve again and become stronger. The emergence of this news has made all countries sit on pins and needles. While countries all over the world are being invaded by giant monsters and are in panic, China is uncharacteristically peaceful. Even the Kingdom of China has slowly entered a new era of superpowers, and the people across the country are transforming into superpower players. Until recently, nearly half of Huasha's military personnel have obtained player panels, and the mortality rate has been extremely low. The reason why China can usher in the new era so smoothly is because of a woman. Bai Yan, the most powerful super player in China. The super beast she summoned was so powerful that it was unreasonable. All the invading super monsters were no match for that crab. Even with the help of this crab, China captured many super monsters alive and used them to cultivate various special talents. In the sky, hundreds of drones hovered in the sky. Boss Xie has just recorded all the battle scenes. After these battle scenes are collected, they will be edited by the 826th Bureau's Publicity Department and then widely publicized. With the invasion of super monsters, the society of China has been in turmoil. But recently, the social atmosphere across the country has suddenly undergone a major change, becoming prosperous and peaceful. The reason for this change is because of Bai Yan. The boss Xie she summoned was so powerful. Every time he appears, he will kill the monster with his strongest posture. Boss Xia's invincible attitude has also made the Chinese people's confidence unprecedentedly high. Especially when we see all kinds of foreign super monsters wreaking havoc, while domestic monsters are killed by Boss Xie as soon as they appear. This stark contrast makes everyone feel more secure. And Bai Yan, that mysterious and powerful girl who always wears white clothes. It has also become the highest pursuit of all players and the most powerful patron saint in the hearts of Chinese people. Hey! Can I not go? I'm a little scared. Bai Yan cried quietly while hiding behind Zhang Xiaolong. She is crying again. Zheng Tianba on the side clenched his fists tightly, veins popped out, and his eyes were bloodshot. Why would I lose to this kind of woman? The strongest super player in China, and even a woman who has been deified. Behind her back, she is actually a weirdo who only cries every day. Who would have thought of this mud horse? What's even more outrageous is that in order to maintain Bai Yan's powerful and mysterious image, the officials have done their best. Through various video clips and various media promotions, Bai Yan's powerful and mysterious character has been deeply rooted in the hearts of the people. Even if he goes live online to expose it now, I'm afraid he will be trolled like a dog. The higher-ups are too ignorant. These honors should have belonged to me. Bai Yan's talent is only strong in the early stage, just a summoning talent. She has no growth potential at all. Do those people above understand that I am the only true god in the middle and later stages? Zheng Tianba gritted his teeth. His talent was so great, but there were too many mediocre people in the world, and they couldn't find their shining point at all. One day, he will let the whole world understand that he, Zheng Tianba, is the strongest player in the world, and Bai Yan, this weirdo, will only be stepped on by him. While Zheng Tianba was gritting his teeth, Dante next to him was frowning. For some reason, he found that the crab summoned by Bai Yan had become stronger again. Is it my imagination? The black patterns on this crab seemed to have increased again. At the same time, he also had doubts as to why Bai Yan, who also had a 5-star talent, was so strong. Is there any hidden secret in this? Moreover, the official attitude of the Chinese government is also very strange. Their investment in Bai Yan's resources is very exaggerated. Even if this woman doesn't fight monsters to level up, she still has a steady stream of experience books for her to enjoy while lying at home. Recently, he also discovered that this number 1 ace team is also very strange. This team is simply tailor-made for Bai Yan. Captain Bai Yan. Although Bai Yan was appointed as the captain, she would not command the team at all. She was more like a pendant and a puppet emperor. It's just that the strength of this pendant is a bit beyond the standard. Vice Captain Zhang Xiaolong. Official people or decent people with good conduct. They are also the actual captains of the team and manage the large and small affairs of the team. Putting aside his talent, his abilities and character are indeed suitable for him to be a captain. Moreover, he is the person Bai Yan trusts most, her spiritual sustenance, and her personal bodyguard. Team Wet Nurse Zheng Tianba. Zheng Tianba was actually positioned as a wet nurse, probably to protect Bai Yan. His refresh ability is indeed suitable for being a wet nurse. Even if his head is severed, as long as his consciousness is still alive for a short period of time, he can be directly refreshed and resurrected. Mysterious team member, Zhang Shang. This person is a bit strange, his talent is rubbish, and he doesn't know why he can enter the number 1 ace team. But since the above arrangement is like this, I'm afraid it must have a deep meaning. There must be something special about this man. He may have unknown special talents in other aspects. He turned back and glanced at Zhang Shang, who was watching the excitement nearby. Zhang Shang seemed to be aware of it, and suddenly turned his head to look at him and gave him a kind smile. Dante lowered his head, retracted his gaze, and leaned against the wall in the corner. The man had just warned him, and sure enough, he was not as simple as he seemed. Reserve team member, Zhang Fan. A gifted language expert, this person is Boss Xia's exclusive translator, and he can see through it at a glance. Secondly, there are several reserve players, all of whom are players with energy recovery talents. They basically serve Bai Yan. Pushing up his glasses, he looked at Bai Yan, who was being comforted by Zhang Xiaolong. The people above are all veterans, so this arrangement must be intentional. Bai Yan obviously has a lot of character flaws, but the superiors actually have so much confidence in Bai Yan. This is really interesting. Why on earth? Dante sat in the corner, looking at Bai Yan, who was still sobbing without any trace. There must be some secret that he didn't know. At this time, there are 826 rounds. Report, according to the latest statistics, our country's army has nearly 60% of all acquired player panels, of which only 1.23% have awakened talents. Report, in the past week, we have found more than 5,000 naturally awakened people across the country. Report, the second martial arts examination has been successfully concluded. A total of more than 125,000 people have been admitted. They have entered major military regions and super universities and have begun special training. Report, the initial players who previously refused to cooperate with the official have come to see them 3 times. They want to gain the qualifications to enter the black restricted area. Li Yong sat in his seat and listened carefully to the reports of his subordinates. Today is the weekly meeting, and all the latest trends about super players and black restricted areas will be delivered to you. Looking at the report in front of him, Li Yong shook his head. Before the open beta of Monster Game, there were a total of 1.4 million initial players across the country. Except for the dead players, most players have chosen to join the country and join the organization. But some players still chose to refuse. Some of them do not believe in the government, some are poisoned by the personal heroism in online novels and want to be lone wolves, some may suddenly gain extraordinary powers and become ambitious. In Li Yong's view, this group of players is an absolute factor of instability. Because of social unrest before, he had no time to take care of this group of people. But now that the general environment has stabilized, it's time to deal with these people properly. Send a few people to go down and have contact with them. For those with good talents, we will offer some conditions to recruit them. For those with poor talents, as long as they are willing to join the army, they will be eligible to enter the black restricted area. If they are not willing to join the army, let them go back. Follow the law well. Remember, first instigate the leaders to rebel one by one and let them disintegrate from the inside. Yes, several people received the order and slowly retreated. Li Yong pushed up his glasses, with a smile on his eyes. Before the open beta of the game, they, the initial players, can also enter the monster world to upgrade and improve their strength. But after the open beta of the game, if they wanted to enter the monster world, they needed 10 purple material tickets, which almost made them all disqualified from entering the monster world. If you want to enter the monster world again, you must pass through the Black Forbidden Area. All the Black Forbidden areas in the country have been controlled by the Chinese army, and they have lost their way to become stronger. If he hadn't taken into account the special situation now and the inherent talents of these initial players, he might not even be able to recruit people. As the saying goes, people's hearts are different, and it's better to block things than to open them up. After recruiting a group of people, beating a group of people, and giving them some hope, this group of people won't be anything to worry about. When some news comes out from the lower levels, it will be said that the Black Forbidden Area will be open to the outside world. Don't those capitals, groups, and powerful people all want to obtain extraordinary power? Then I will give them a chance. As long as they pay enough, they can get the player panel. It just so happens that our funds are a little tight now. I don't want to join the army, but I also want to gain extraordinary power. How can there be such a good thing in this world? Quote. After Li Yong finished speaking, he picked up another report. This report was about the number 1 ace team. Zhang Xiaolong is indeed a talent. With his leadership and Bai Yan's summoning ability, the first team has already made a name for itself. But he took another look at Zhang Shang on the list. This guy was able to make the first team only because of his connections. With the recent appearance of Boss Xie, the domestic situation has stabilized. There were also some different sounds above. Player 0 is really too strong, and the situation was critical before, so everyone agreed that Player 0 should be summoned back as soon as possible. But now that the situation has stabilized, a small group of people believe that Boss Xie is enough. Although this part of the voice was quickly suppressed, it was a signal. Zhang Zhang's entry into the first team was specially arranged by the above. After all, Zhang Shang had a share in the several times Li Jun brought things back. Friends, family, this is a family card. In fact, he had already started planning. I provide your family and friends with good food and drink, not only to protect their safety, but also to let them live a perfect life. When Player 0 is really summoned back, even if he wants to rebel against the country, his family and friends will probably be the first to disagree. This is a community of interests, and no one will harm his own interests. Li Yong held the report in his hand and sighed. This was all he could do. No one could predict the future. After putting away the report, he left the office and walked all the way to a secret room where Li Jun had been waiting for a long time. As soon as he entered the room, his expression management was completely out of control. As the commander-in-chief of the 826th Bureau, his happiness and anger never show on his face. But today, he lost his temper again. He looked at the large amount of blue-quality gaming equipment and purple materials in front of him, feeling a little lost. This time Li Jun brought back hundreds of purple-quality materials, a dozen pieces of blue-quality equipment, a large number of experience books and high-grade ore materials. Throughout the room, various purple and blue precious lights dazzled people's eyes. Although players in Blue Star will hunt monsters and explode treasure boxes to obtain equipment, the probability is very low, and it is completely incomparable to the probability of those online and mobile games. According to big data statistics, when each player kills for the first time, a novice treasure box will definitely be released, and a white quality novice weapon will be opened. In addition to this novice treasure chest, there is a certain probability of obtaining a white quality treasure chest only through a leapfrog kill. If you hunt in a team, the probability of exploding the treasure chest will be greatly reduced, not even more than 1,000th. The rules of the game do not seem to favor player cooperation. Only those individual players with strong talents who can leapfrog and kill alone will receive higher level treasure chest rewards. It's like some kind of screening, only strong human individuals can get rewards. This is just the difficulty of obtaining white quality treasure chests. According to data analysis, if you want to obtain a higher level blue quality treasure chest, you must kill elite monsters above 20 meters alone when the player level does not exceed level 10. Even if you kill them, there is only a certain probability of getting a blue treasure chest. And even if you get a blue treasure chest, the probability of getting blue quality equipment is very low. Currently, there are only a handful of blue quality equipment in the entire Washa Kingdom, with only 11 pieces in total. 6 of these items were given by Wang Meng before. Not to mention the purple materials, each piece is a peerless treasure, hidden deep in laboratories by various countries and will not be taken out easily. Just last time, all the energy of the Washa Kingdom was used to help Li Jun collect 10 purple material time travel tickets. But all the previous efforts were worth it. Recently, every time Li Jun comes back from the monster world, it's like going home to celebrate the new year. He brings back a lot of big and small bags, and he doesn't bring the same kind of good things. This made him, the director of Bureau 826, understand for the first time what it meant to be rich and powerful. Take out your phone and dial a number. Hey, Xiao Li, Please mention Wang Jiming's family's treatment to a higher level later. No, director. Their salary is good enough. Then Wang Jiming sits in the office drinking tea and reading newspapers every day, doing nothing, and he will earn 100,000 a month. Are you the director, or am I the director? Give him and his wife a salary increase of 3 times, and issue a commendation announcement. Comrade Wang Jiming has worked very hard recently, and the bureau is going to reward him with another apartment. Quote. After hearing this, Xiao Li hung up the phone in disbelief. He looked back at Wang Jiming, who was secretly catching fish in the office. This guy has been fishing since he came to the bureau. Where has he worked hard? I go to work at 10 o'clock and am late every day. I still haven't woken up from my nap after get off work at 3 o'clock. I go to work every day just to have lunch in the cafeteria. Who is this person? Could it be that he is the director's illegitimate son? That's not right. His age doesn't match him either. On the other side, Li Yong finished hanging up the phone and sighed. Player 0 gave me too much. Unfortunately, he has a special status and these materials are too precious. This achievement may only be known to a few people. Compared with these precious equipment and materials, the salary increase given to his parents is nothing at all. Looking at the things Li Jun brought back in front of him, he also understood what Player 0 wanted to express. These things were amulets he bought for his family. This young man sees things very clearly. Li Yong sighed. An overly powerful individual with an online IQ made people even more frightened. Desert Island. In the forest, Wang Meng sat in the tree trunk, looking boredly at the mushroom ruins in front of him. Soon, a black shadow appeared in the distance, running over quickly. After a few breaths, He Bao arrived in front of Wang Meng and brought back a large number of white jade mushrooms. Compared with the unreliable boss Xie, He Bao is obviously more steady in his work. In recent days, due to boss Xie's busy schedule, he was busy returning to the Blue Star people every day to show his holiness, so he had to send He Bao to explore the ruins. In just a few days, he had almost explored this mushroom group, leaving only the super giant tree in the middle that had not yet been explored. And it was strange that after exploring for so long, they didn't encounter a single monster attack. This was different from what he expected. According to the rules of online games, a special place like this should be full of high-level monsters, and there may even be hidden bosses. But his exploration in recent days told him that this place really seemed to be just a forgotten ruin. He stood up, looked at the super giant tree in the distance, and decided to go there and take a look for himself. The secrets of this desert island may be found in this mushroom ruins. He Bao, stay here and protect these spiritual plants. After Wang Meng finished speaking, he took out a blue-quality spear. Equipment: Frog Spear. Type: Weapon Lance. Quality: Blue Excellent. Attributes: Constitution +1-2, Energy +25. Effect 1. Sharpness Enhancement Level 1. Effect 2. Frog Breath. Active skill. After turning on Frog Breath, 15 energy points are consumed, muscle strength is increased by 20%, jumping ability is increased by 30%, duration is 60 seconds, and cooling time is 30 minutes. Rating: 2.5 stars. This blue-quality frog gun was obtained when he killed the big-mouthed frog for the first time, and it comes with an active state skill, Frog Breath. And he has collected more than a dozen pieces of special blue-quality equipment like this, and each one has its own skills and has certain characteristics. At certain times, the skills on these weapons combined with his talents can work wonders. Such as now, Frog's Breath, Frog's Breath, Frog's Breath. The breath of the frog is superimposed 30 times, the muscle strength is enhanced by 600%, and the jumping ability is enhanced by 900%. Originally, Wang Meng's physical fitness in a normal state was 20 times higher than that of a human being. Now, with the double increase of muscle strengthening and jumping strengthening, his physical fitness has been improved to an extremely exaggerated level. The sunny boy in front of him has disappeared, leaving only a strange muscular man. Different from the previous form, the continuous superposition of the frog's breath made his legs very thick, even occupying most of his body. His single thigh was already wider than his waist, and the thick muscles on it were densely packed, as if entangled with old roots. Such exaggerated and thick thighs make his waist look a little slender, like a strange wasp-shaped muscular man. The legs are slightly bent, and the muscles in the legs begin to tighten and exert force. Collapse. The terrifying power bursting out from under his feet directly caused the surrounding land to collapse. Looking down from the sky, Wang Mang squatted on the ground like a large frog. As his legs continued to exert force, the surrounding land broke apart and spread out like a fishing net. Wang Mang's normal form. Devil Frog Flesh Man. Chapter 91. As Wang Mang's leg muscles continued to accumulate strength, the surrounding broken earth and rocks were vibrating like fleas. A moment, Wang Mang disappeared on the spot. The earth and rocks were sunken and air waves swept across, leaving only a large crater with a diameter of more than tens of meters. Just charging up and taking off once, Wang Mang was like Superman, flying continuously in the sky at extremely fast speeds. 10 minutes later, he arrived at the very center of the ruins and landed on a root of a super giant tree. Looking up, the giant tree was bigger than he imagined. Just like a person standing under the Himalayas, he can only feel his own insignificance. He pushed his legs hard and began to jump and climb up along the roots of the tree. But after walking for a while, he found a huge staircase at the root of the tree, extending all the way into the trunk. It seems that this is really a ruins of civilization. Have other humans come to this desert island before? Or are they other races? Wang Mang walked on the stairs. These stairs were very wide, but each step was only 30 or 40 centimeters, which meant that this civilized race was about the same size as humans. In other words, in this desert island full of giants, there is actually a civilized race that is about the same size as a human being. At least such a race once existed. Along the way, various reliefs are carved everywhere on the trunk of this giant tree. However, this site seems to have existed for a long time, and these reliefs have become blurred and completely invisible. Wang Mang has been slowly climbing up the giant stairs. All the traces around him tell him that there once was a civilization here. Perhaps a long time ago, there was an endless stream of foreigners on this staircase, and this giant tree was their place of pilgrimage. Walking to the end of the stairs, a huge tree hole appeared in front of you. To the left and right of the entrance of the tree hole, more than a dozen giant statues more than 20 meters high were neatly arranged on the left and right. Due to the erosion of time, these giant statues have lost their original appearance. Standing at the entrance of the cave, the tree hole in front of me was pitch black without a trace of light, like a giant beast opening its mouth, which made people feel vaguely uneasy. Wang Mang frowned and stood at the door hesitating for a while. This dark and numb place does not look like a good place at first glance. The surrounding space fluctuated, and a huge black spider appeared next to him. "Hey Bao, is Dad always nice to you?" Wang Mang stared at Hey Bao in front of him seriously. He originally wanted to pat his shoulder, but Hey Bao has now grown to more than 10 meters tall, so he had no choice but to touch it. Spider thighs. Gigi, Gigi. Hey Bao looked at Wang Mang with his 8 black eyes, nodded seriously, and then asked coquettishly. "That's for sure. How can Boss Xie compare with you? He's just a little piece of trash, a street kid. When Dad raises Bai Yan's level to a higher level, he will also ask her to summon you there so that you can show your dignity in front of the Blue Star people." Quote. "Chi-chi, Chi-chi." Hey Bao screamed several times happily. His huge head leaned over, and kept rubbing against Wang Mang's head, making him very affectionate. After being coquettish, it turned around and rushed into the dark tree hole, disappearing instantly. Alas, this daughter and son are still different, and they still have to be coaxed. Wang Mang shook his head. They are both his pets, but Boss Xie and Hey Bao have completely different personalities. Is it the influence of the divine spirit? Hai Bao's IQ is not at the same level as Boss Xie. He is getting smarter and smarter. Withdrawing his thoughts, Wang Mang stood outside the tree hole and waited quietly. At the same time, he began to continuously superimpose super-possessed spirits on his body, so that his various resistances began to stack up, just in case. Just when his status stack was full and he was preparing for the battle that was waiting for him, Hey Bao unexpectedly walked out of the darkness again very quickly. In this huge dark tree hole, there is surprisingly no danger at all. This is different from what I imagined. In this special place, shouldn't a super powerful monster break through and try to eat me? Wang Mang frowned slightly. Intermediate muscle strengthening, intermediate muscle strengthening, intermediate muscle strengthening. Intermediate muscles are strengthened 30 times, and the muscle increase is 1200%. The muscular giant's burly body appeared again. Although there was no danger for He Bao to explore the way, Wang Mang still chose to be cautious. He never underestimated anyone or anywhere. Soon, Wang Mang led the huge black spider into the darkness. Along the way, in this dim tree hole, every few steps, there are some small luminous mushrooms growing on the ground. They emit a faint fluorescence, allowing people to vaguely see the situation around the tree hole. Different from the deathly silence outside, he actually felt the breath of life in this tree hole. After a few minutes, he reached the end of the tree hole. Two huge and blurry statues stood on the left and right, and white jade mushrooms the size of umbrellas were blooming everywhere like flowers. They emitted a faint fluorescent light, reflecting the entire tree hole into a beautiful silvery blue. In the deepest part of the tree cave, there are various relief totems and densely packed strange symbols and texts. In the middle of the two statues, a 3-meter-tall tree with a crystal-like body is growing vigorously. Around the small tree, a large amount of light blue fluorescence danced around it like fireflies. It looks dreamy and beautiful. Wang Mang looked at the beautiful blue fluorescent crystal tree in front of him, and his eyes became more serious. This thing was not ordinary at first glance. Moreover, this extremely dreamy and beautiful place often contains fatal dangers. Intermediate muscle strengthening, intermediate muscle strengthening, intermediate muscle strengthening. Intermediate muscles are strengthened 60 times, and the muscle increases 2,400%. Wang Mang's normal form, red muscle giant. At this moment, Wang Mang had transformed into a terrifying red muscular giant. His burly and strong muscular body formed a sharp contrast with the crystal sapling. Exhaling a white breath, the huge wind pressure directly blew away the fluorescence on the crystal tree, and even almost uprooted the crystal tree. Wang Mang twisted his neck and took steps. Every time he walked, the ground would shake slightly. Muscle amplification and strengthening is very special. It not only strengthened Wang Mang's muscles all over his body, but also increased his weight to an exaggerated level. Wang Mang stepped forward step by step, his burly body constantly approaching, and his astonishing momentum washed over the entire tree hole. As he continued to get closer, the crystal tree in front of him finally changed. The ground began to collapse, and a large number of white jade mushrooms emitting blue fluorescence fell into the abyss. Two huge tree hands suddenly popped out from the ground, tearing the ground in half like cloth and pushing it away. The beautiful crystal tree continues to rise, and a huge head more than 10 meters tall slowly pokes out of the ground. Eyes like black holes, fangs densely packed like shark teeth, and the head of a tree man like an evil spirit rising from the ground. Soon, a huge tree man over 80 meters in front of him slowly crawled out of the ground. On the huge body, the roots of the dreamlike crystal tree are entangled on the tree man's head, constantly emitting light blue fluorescence. It seems that this is the true nature of this dreamy crystal tree. Sure enough, how could such a special thing not have a monster boss? Wang Mang raised his head excitedly and looked up at the supergiant monster in front of him. The huge body gave people a strong sense of oppression. This tree man looks super strong. This way of playing is really familiar, just like the first standalone game I played before. Before Wang Mang could finish speaking, suddenly, a giant hand rushed towards him and smashed his whole body into the ground like a nail. At the same time, the tree man's blow also dented the entire tree hole ground, which shows how powerful this blow is. But soon, the giant hand that the tree man pressed down began to tremble, and then was slowly lifted up. Under the huge palm, Wang Mang's entire leg had penetrated into the ground, but his body did not bend at all and was still as straight and straight. He casually patted the dust on his body with one hand, while the other hand was wrestling with the giant tree man. There is a huge difference in body size between the two, but in terms of strength, Wang Mang has the absolute upper hand. Hey, hey, hey. I'm reminiscing about the past, why are you so rude? But, hey. Wang Mang grinned wildly, showing a lot of white teeth. His muscles were violently trembling and his body was shaking slightly. But I like this feeling. Come on and beat me to death. Beat me to death. Wang Mang roared crazily with a smile on his face. The muscles all over his body were tense, and the expression on his face had completely lost control, becoming ferocious and terrifying. Suddenly, he grabbed two of the tree man's fingers with his backhand, and the muscles in his body expanded again like balloons. Under the terrifying force, the tree man's huge body was lifted entirely by Wang Mang. Then he threw him over his shoulder and fell to the ground violently. And this is just the beginning. Soon, he lifted the huge tree man again and threw it over his shoulder again. Falling, 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 falling. The speed is getting faster and faster. The tree man who was so domineering just now was like a huge rotten rag, being knocked around by Wang Mang desperately. Ah, come on, beat me to death, beat me to death, why don't you beat me to death? Tree man. Under the constant and violent blows, the entire tree cave shook and began to collapse. After hitting him countless times, Wang Mang stopped panting. At this time, the tree man no longer had the power it had just now, and it could not even stand up. Wang Mang grabbed its finger, dragged it to the door of the tree hole like a dead dog, and then threw it out hard. After a perfect parabola, the tree man's huge body crashed to the ground. I saw Wang Mang standing at the door of the tree hole, leaping suddenly, like a meteor falling to the ground, and landed in front of it again. Hey hey hey, get up quickly and beat me to death. Is this all you have? But this is not my limit yet. Ah, roared, intermediate muscle strengthening, intermediate muscle strengthening, intermediate muscle strengthening. Intermediate muscle strengthening 100 times. Muscle increase 4000%. With the continuous superposition of skills, Wang Mang's body rose again, and the terrifying momentum made the air distort. The dense muscles were like a totem, wrapped around his body. Slowly walked to the tree man's head and smiled ferociously. Buddhism conquering demons infinite six-armed Buddha. Punch, 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 punch. At this time, Blue Star, District 7. Mysterious black mist permeates the surroundings, and from time to time, giant monsters come out of the black mist and come to the human world. Around the entire black restricted area, a large number of temporary military bases were built on the left and right. Tank arrays, missile launch bases, heavy military trucks, etc., are arranged neatly on the outside of the black restricted area, layer by layer. Some of these monsters coming out of the black restricted area will be killed by players, while others will be contained in huge iron cages and then sent to the underground base to obtain player panels for newcomers. Just when everything is in order, stable and harmonious, a huge monster head slowly poked its head out of the black mist. Immediately, in the base around the 7th black restricted zone, sirens blared loudly and countless red lights lit up. Within a few minutes, hundreds of fighter planes had already taken off and started circling in the sky. Report: a super monster appears in the 7th black restricted area. According to data, the size of this monster has exceeded 30 meters. This is a size we have never seen before. Hurry up, connect to the video footage of District 7 and ask their commander to talk to me. Soon, the video connects and the call begins. The commander of the 7th District base appeared on the screen, his brows furrowed and his face anxious. From the video, you can vaguely hear the constant roar of artillery fire. Reporting to the headquarters, 3 super monsters have appeared in the 7th area. Their size has exceeded 30 meters. At the same time, there are also a large number of monsters appearing together. The super players here may. Li Yong frowned, and another heavier monster appeared. This was by no means a good sign. These giant monsters coming out of the black restricted area are not simply enlarged forms of various creatures. Whether it is their defense, physical strength, or power and destructive power, they can no longer be measured by common sense. There are even some monsters with special talents, such as the elite blue crab that can spit water cannons. And the bigger these giant beasts are, the stronger they are. According to the latest research by scientists, there is some kind of monster magnetic field in the bodies of these giant beasts. The larger the monsters, the stronger the magnetic field around their bodies. If you stay near these monster magnetic fields for a long time, people will become depressed, autistic, fearful and decadent. Moreover, these monster magnetic fields also have a deterrent effect. If the strength gap between the giant beast and humans is too large, ordinary people will not be able to escape as long as they are within the range of the monster's magnetic field. For example, for those super giant monsters that exceed 20 meters, the monster magnetic field around their bodies exceeds hundreds of meters. Even the top special forces soldier in China will become stiff with fear as soon as he enters the monster magnetic field of this giant monster, and cannot even draw his gun. And this is just a 20-meter giant monster. Every 10 meters a monster grows in size, its strength will become much stronger, and the magnetic field of the surrounding monsters will also become stronger. Now, finally a 30-meter monster appears. Immediately notify the first team and send a fighter plane to pick up Bai Yan and the others. I need to see them arrive in the 7th area in an hour. Send people to the other 13 districts, allocate some people from each district, and let them gather in the 7th district. As Li Yang continued to give orders, the picture on the screen also began to rotate. In the picture, there were roaring artillery fire, fighter planes flying, and giant beasts roaring. Although it seems that thermal weapons have the upper hand, everyone knows that this is just a way to delay time. Li Yang looked at the picture on the screen and was worried. It's District 7 again. Every time a monster of a new size appears first, it is in the 7th area. Zhang Shang, Zhang Xiaolong, Li Jun. They all traveled around District 7 at the beginning, and they seemed to be in the same chat group. And there was another person crossing near District 7. Player 0, Wang Meng. However, they have long been aware of the anomalies in District 7. Therefore, the defensive circle arranged around the 7th area is also the largest and densest. Moreover, District 7 has the largest number of super players and is the group with the strongest overall strength. Li Yang rubbed his head. Since the monster invasion, the director has become more and more tired. Recently, he has started to lose his hair desperately and has a tendency to go bald. Well, it seems like something happened again with Wang Meng. What is this kid doing again? Desert Island, next to a dead tree several thousand meters high. Wang Meng became that ordinary boy again. His face was flushed with excitement, and his face was filled with the joy of release. It was a huge tree man, and he had already killed it. Maybe because he had been suppressed for too long recently, he felt a little unable to hold back once he was freed from the restraints. He punched the ground tens of thousands of times. Looking around, he was already 10 meters underground, in a huge pothole. Only half of the tree man's body remained, and the missing half had merged with the surrounding land. On that corpse, something was different from usual. In addition to a purple quality treasure box floating there was actually a white light group the size of a fist rising and falling. This was the first time he exploded something other than a treasure chest after killing a monster. What is this? Putting the treasure box into his middle backpack, he looked at the white ball of light in front of him, full of curiosity. As soon as he stretched out his hand, the white ball of light suddenly emitted a dazzling light. The whole world became a vast expanse of white. When he opened his eyes again, he was already standing under a giant tree several thousand meters high. Looking up, all the 9 dead giant trees around him have come back to life. The green leaves are lush and full of vitality. Around him, a large number of mushroom people appeared. They were only over 1 meter tall, wore strange clothes, had eyes and mouths, and were even talking to each other. Unfortunately, Wang Meng couldn't hear any sound, as if he was watching a silent drama. Several mushroom men walked past him and passed directly between his arms. I'm afraid these are just some illusions. Looking up, I saw these mushroom people densely packed, like a long dragon, climbing up the stairs on the giant tree, all the way up. As long as they climb the stairs, these mushroom people will make strange gestures and look pious, as if they are performing some kind of ritual. Suddenly, the scene changed. Wang Meng had reached the end of the stairs and stood at the door of the tree cave. This was exactly where he had just killed the tree man. Looking at the statues at the door, the previously blurry appearance has returned to its original state. Mushroom men, each dozens of meters tall and wearing heavy armor and spears, were neatly watching on the left and right. Their bodies are like white jade mushrooms, with a jade-like luster. Around Wang Meng, a large number of mushroom people began to enter the tree hole like a tide, and his body was also drifting with the tide until they reached the deepest part of the tree hole. In the deepest part of the tree cave, a huge crystal tree more than 20 meters high was growing vigorously. Under it, white jade mushrooms of various sizes filled the entire tree cave like a sea of flowers. On the crystal canopy, the blue fluorescence is like a galaxy, reflecting the tree hole like daylight. All the mushroom people who entered the tree hole knelt down devoutly, and light blue fluorescence fell on them. Only Wang Meng stood proudly. He looked at the tall crystal tree in front of him. This crystal tree gave him a completely different feeling now than before. It was full of holiness and warmth, and seemed to soothe people's hearts. You are finally back. I've been waiting for a long, long time. This crystal tree is actually talking. A consciousness passed through Wang Meng's mind. Who are you? Wang Meng suddenly asked, but he found that he could not make a sound at all. Soon, the crystal tree started talking again. I have almost exhausted the seeds of the world, and there is only so much left. Thank you for helping me out, Eminem. As the words fell, the entire crystal tree began to glow violently, and all the mushroom people around it began to turn into starlight and float high into the sky. The whole world turned white again. When he opened his eyes again, Wang Meng found that he was still where he was. Everything that just happened was like a dream, as if it was just a fragment in the long river of time. Slim Shady. Wang Meng stared blankly at the body of the tree man in front of him. He never expected that this crystal tree could actually talk. If he had known this was the case, he would never have beaten the other party into such a bad state just now. Looking at the tree man with only half a body left in front of him, Wang Meng sighed, "Why didn't you tell me earlier?" As if he suddenly remembered something, he immediately lowered his head and searched everywhere in the deep hole he had driven out. Soon, he found a dilapidated crystal tree from the ground. This is exactly the one on the top of the tree man's head before, but now it has become twisted and deformed, like a ball of twists. It's such a crime. Why did you get beaten like this? What a waste. He carefully put the crystal tree away, then turned to look at the tree man with only half a body left behind him. Sighed. Don't blame me. You did it yourself first. I was just reacting to stress. Walking up to the tree man and using decomposition again, the tree man's huge body turned into a large amount of purple material. As his level gets higher and higher, his strength becomes stronger, and the efficiency of decomposition seems to have increased. It only takes a few seconds for such a huge corpse to be turned into materials. After packing up the tree man's body, he came to the previous tree hole again. At this time, the tree hole had completely collapsed. However, Wang Meng is not ready to give up. The world seeds mentioned by the tree man before are probably still hidden underground. The spider shadow was activated, and a large number of spider monsters struggled out of his shadow, and then began to dig caves. More than an hour later, he had dug the entire tree hole upside down. Except for some broken white jade mushrooms, there was nothing left in the tree hole. Wang Meng frowned slightly. Didn't the tree man say that there are still world seeds? Where is this thing hidden? He searched in the tree hole for a long time, but still found nothing. Is it in the treasure box? He took out the purple treasure box that had just exploded, and the crystal tree that was already like a twist. Wang Meng frowned and opened the purple treasure box first. Ding! Get the rare item Sunflower Garden. Item, Sunflower Garden. Type, strange object. Quality, purple rare. Introduction, a message from the Sunflower Clan in the Land of Forests, with the obsession of the Sunflower Clan. Rule effect, Sun Garden. The Sun Garden is a world of its own and can always be illuminated by the sun. All plant life planted in the Sun Garden has a 100% increase in growth efficiency and a 20% increase in output. Note: rare objects are rule items, and only high-level rare objects can restrain the effects of rare objects' rules. Rating, 3.5 stars. Ding! Get 37 copies of purple quality sunstones. Material, sunstone. Type, ore. Quality, purple rare. Effect can be used to build equipment, repair equipment, and strengthen equipment. Rating, 3 stars. Ding! Get the crystal ring equipped with Mushroom Man. Equipment, Mushroom Man's crystal ring. Type, ring. Quality, purple rare. Attributes, physique +8, spirit +20, energy +200. Effect, effect 1. Energy recovery level 2. After wearing, the energy recovery speed increases by 40%. Effect 2. Mushroom Man's Blessing. Consuming 100 points of energy, the target can recover 300 points of damaged constitution in 10 seconds, and the cooling time is 10 minutes. Effect 3. Mushroom Family Members. By consuming a certain amount of energy and a white jade mushroom, you can transform into a Mushroom Man dependent and possess 10% of its own basic attributes. Mushroom people are mirror creatures, and they will have some of the abilities of the original body. Cooling time is 24 hours. Rating, 3.5 stars. In addition to these, several high-level experience books, some other ores, and several pieces of blue-quality equipment were also found in the treasure chest. There's nothing in the treasure chest. Where are the seeds of the world? Wang Mang scratched his head and picked up the twist-like crystal tree next to him. The material of this crystal tree is extraordinary. I had punched it at least tens of thousands of times in muscle form before, but it only deformed it. Break down. As he finished speaking, the crystal tree in front of him began to emit a faint fluorescence, which lasted for more than 10 seconds before a beep sounded. Ding! The decomposition was successful. 11 branches of the wisdom tree were obtained, 7 world powers were obtained, and 1 world seed of the forest country was obtained. Material: branches of the tree of wisdom. Quality: purple rare. Introduction: the branches from the tree of wisdom possess the power of wisdom. Effect: can be used to make staffs, potions, or to enhance the wisdom of plant life. Evaluation: 3.5 stars. Material: power of the world. Quality: golden legend. Introduction: the power of the world from the land of forests possesses magical power. Effect: used directly, it can temporarily improve one's own strength and world level, and can also be used to strengthen the world. Evaluation: 4 stars. Material: world seed. Quality: golden legend. Introduction: the world seeds from the land of forests possess magical power. Effect: can be used to make rare objects and strengthen them. Fused with specific magical objects, the world seeds will have a very small probability of growing into small worlds. Evaluation: 4 stars. This crystal tree is really extraordinary. No wonder the tree man is so powerful. Wang Mang sighed, but it was a pity that he was a little more powerful. This is the first time he has exposed golden legendary quality materials. The longer he stayed on this desert island, the more he felt that high-quality equipment in this world was very difficult to come by. Most of the good things that can be obtained basically come from the first kill, which is like some kind of clearance reward. Just when he excitedly picked up the world seed, the strange object sunflower garden suddenly began to emit a faint fluorescence. The world seed in his hand seemed to be sensing something and began to emit a faint light at the same time. Wang Mang was thoughtful. He picked up the strange object sunflower garden, which was a palm-sized crystal ball. In this crystal ball, there is a small garden. As his consciousness sank into it, he discovered that he could actually enter this garden directly. This was actually a space treasure. Looking around, this garden is only 3 or 4 acres in size. If it is close to the border, white fog will appear around it, blocking his steps. Looking up, the entire space is as bright as day, and there are all kinds of beautiful flowers growing in the garden. This strange object is like the paradise in the novel, very magical. World seeds can be fused with strange objects. If they encounter specific strange objects, they can even grow into a small world. I'm afraid this sunflower garden is just such a specific strange object. Whether it is sunflower garden or seed of the world, the introductions of both of them mentioned the kingdom of forest, and they were bursting from a monster. Thinking of this, Wang Mang's eyes lit up, and he instantly put the sunflower garden and world seeds together. Ding! Yes, no to fuse the golden quality world seeds with the strange object sunflower garden. Yes. As Wang Mang finished speaking, the 2 items merged into one. A few minutes later, a brand new crystal ball appeared in front of Wang Mang again. Ding! Get the rare item, the Garden of Forest Country. Item: Garden of Forest Country. Type: strange object. Quality: golden legend. Introduction: a message from the land of forests, with the obsession of the world of the land of forests. Rule effect: Rule 1. Sun Garden. The Sun Garden is a world of its own and can always be illuminated by the sun. All plant life in the Sun Garden has a 150% increase in growth efficiency and a 30% increase in output. Rule 2. The Blessing of the Garden. All plant life in the garden will recover 1% of its maximum damaged constitution, 1% of its maximum mental power, and 1% of its maximum energy value every second. Rule 3. The Shelter of the Garden. Every plant in the garden can enhance the world strength of the garden. When the garden is attacked by the outside world, all damage will be borne by the living creatures in the garden. Note: rare objects are rule items, and only high-level rare objects can restrain the effects of rare objects' rules. Rating: 4 stars. Wang Mang picked up this strange object again. Its appearance did not change much, but the area of the garden inside the crystal ball increased several times. This is just like the paradise in the fairy tales. Doesn't this mean that I will have a mobile home in the future and no longer need to sleep in a wooden box? Wang Mang happily picked up the crystal ball. This was the real treasure. There were all kinds of seeds in his backpack. He couldn't wait to start farming. Since leaving the hut on the beach, his life has been getting harder and harder day by day. Every day I either sleep in a tree hole or in a wooden box. Every time I eat all kinds of monster barbecue, I can't even eat fruits and vegetables if I want to. The few spiritual plants I planted in the shells before grew very poorly due to the unstable environment. They were half dead every day. This was also my only source of fruit. In the future, with this portable garden, he can plant all his seeds, which directly improves his quality of life. Thinking of his spiritual plant, he was suddenly startled, and then glanced at He Bao beside him. Hi Bao, why are you here? Didn't I ask you to guard our spiritual plants on the outside? And my precious wooden box. He Bao was also stunned. It seemed like something like this was happening, but weren't you the one who summoned me just now? Wang Mang's eyes widened, and he suddenly remembered that in order to let He Bao explore the way, he directly used the summoning skill to summon He Bao. Then aren't those spiritual plants of my own? These spiritual plants are his treasure. He has always carried them with him like treasures, and they have always been inseparable. Why did I suddenly forget such an important thing? With a loud shout, Wang Mang quickly packed the surrounding things into his space backpack, and then transformed into a devil frog meat man again. He jumped up and disappeared in the air. By the time he rushed back to the empty space, all the spiritual plants had been chewed into a mess by unknown monsters, leaving only the bare trunks. The wooden box he carefully built was also trampled into pieces. Ah, you stinky monsters have really eaten the heart of a bear and the courage of a leopard. You even dare to steal your arrogant house. As soon as the words fell, black spider monsters struggled to crawl out from Wang Mang's shadow, scattered in all directions, and swept around them instantly. For a time, the monsters in the surrounding forest began to flee in fear. These black spider monsters had long become taboo in the forest. Every time he appears, he will frantically hunt all the monsters around him, just like a robber. Most monsters will flee after seeing the shadow of the black spider. Only those super monsters can fight them. But it is only capable of fighting. In the forest, wars suddenly broke out somewhere from time to time, but they soon calmed down. In less than 10 minutes, Wang Mang had cleaned all the monsters within 10 miles. This relieved Wang Mang's mood a lot. He collected all the spiritual plants in the shells and turned them back into seeds. From now on, he will plant the seeds he harvests in the garden and carry them with him everywhere. He had even thought about building a house in the garden so that he would no longer have to live in the open. After collecting various seeds, he took out another golden legendary item from the space backpack, the power of the world. This thing is interesting. Can it temporarily improve your strength and world level? It's a pity that it's just a consumable. The power of the world looks a bit strange. It is like a small white ball of light and feels like cotton candy. After seeing the introduction to the attributes of world power, his first thought was not to use it to improve his own strength, but to use it for Bai Yan. There are 3 reasons why he couldn't be summoned back by Bai Yan. One is because of his talent. The second is because his level is too high and his strength is too strong. The third reason is that he has been promoted to a world level, but Bai Yan's world level has not been improved. If the power of the world is given to Bai Yan, can she fully summon herself back? This solution is well worth a try. If Bai Yan uses the power of the world, he will not be able to summon himself back. That means the reason for all this is because of his 6-star talent, no cold stacking beyond demon god level. But if he can summon himself, it means that the power of the world is the key for him to return to the real world briefly. Looking at the 7 copies of world power in the space backpack, he decided to let Li Jun take one back with him after he went online next time to try out the effect. After making up his mind, Wang Mang turned back and took another look at the giant tree ruins behind him. 9 dead trees are still standing alone around, and countless mushroom houses underneath have been eroded by time and are dilapidated. After killing the tree man, he was pulled into a vision. In the illusion, he also saw the prosperity of the Mushroom Man Empire. I'm afraid that a long time ago, a large number of mushroom people lived here. But where have they gone now? Has it been swallowed by the monsters in this desert island? Or has it set sail and left this strange desert island? Crystal Tree's words were still echoing in his mind. They come back. Relief. Eminem. This Crystal Tree seems to have been waiting on this desert island for a long, long time. It has been waiting for the return of some people. Picking up the strange object, the Garden of Forest Country again, Wang Mang quietly looked at the ruins in front of him. This is probably the former forest country, and what do the World Seed and World Power seem to be hinting at? If the land of forest was once a planet world like humans, so what happened to this island? Shaking his head, Wang Mang stopped thinking about it and quickly recovered his thoughts. Maybe the answer will come soon. He thought of the black mosaic figure in the administrator's space. And it's useless to think too much, it's better to work hard to improve your strength and level. Even though he has recently determined that Blue Star will change because of him, he has never stopped upgrading. Strength is the foundation of everything. Picking up the crystal ball, he directly entered the Garden of the Forest Kingdom. Looking at the green garden in front of him and the bright sunlight, Wang Mang rubbed his hands. It's such a waste to grow flowers in the garden. I want to use all this area to grow vegetables and fruit trees. After Wang Mang finished speaking, he took out a shovel from his space backpack. This thing was the equipment he broke out when he hunted monsters for the first time, and it was full of memories. Pick up the shovel, put on a straw hat. Wang Mang ran into the beautiful garden, digging. Sow the seeds. This is his home. A few days later, Wang Mang lay on He Bao's body and sunbathed. Shadow spiders come back from time to time, bringing treasure chests and monster corpses with them. Then in the panel interface, there is a ding sound from time to time. Ding, kill the elite black spider, gain 1382 experience points, and a white quality treasure chest. Ding, kill the elite tree pig, gain 1388 experience points, and a white quality treasure chest. Ding, leap level, kill the elite black winged mantis, gain 1854 experience points, and a blue quality treasure chest. As long as the shadow spider kills monsters within a range of 10 kilometers, all the experience will be gained by him. Although he has been slacking off recently and rarely hunts monsters himself, with the presence of these shadow spiders, his upgrade speed has become faster. Ding, the level has been raised to LV24. Oh, before I knew it, it got upgraded again. Wang Mang lay on He Bao's back and looked at the white clouds and blue sky in the sky. Although Bai Yan is more likely to summon him back only by suppressing the level, this is only a possibility. Never put eggs in a bowl. Rather than relying on Bai Yan to summon him, he believed in his own fists. As long as he is strong enough, sooner or later, he will return to the real world with an invincible attitude. So no matter what the reason, he will never stop getting stronger. Continuously improving his level is his most important task at the moment. Climb up from He Bao's back and look towards the sea. As he spent more and more time on this deserted island, his sixth sense had been feeling uneasy recently. His basic physique has exceeded 20 times that of human beings. The sixth sense under such a physique is definitely not some kind of illusion. This was his body's subconscious warning that danger was lurking in the dark. This is why he desperately wants to level up. If the power of the world is really useful and allows Bai Yan to summon himself back, then he will let go of the restrictions, start to accelerate the level up, and hunt for the 100-meter level Black King Kong. Moreover, he is now strong enough and has the confidence to leave this desert island. The discovery of the Mushroom Man ruins implies that a group of Mushroom Man has left this desert island. Maybe after leaving the desert island, the mental pollution that has been affecting me will disappear. Withdrawing his thoughts, Wang Mang continued to lie on He Bao, staring blankly at the white clouds and blue sky. From time to time, a huge shadow spider would come over with a monster corpse and a treasure box. Wang Mang would break down the corpse and put the treasure box into his space backpack. Counting the days, it should be time for Li Jun to go online again today. I opened the chat group panel and took a look. Li Jun wasn't online yet. I hadn't chatted with him for a long time, and I missed him. Forget it, I won't wait for him, I will implement my plan B today. He stood up and stretched out. After staying on a deserted island every day recently, he began to activate his power of thinking. It is a very unreliable idea to pin all your hopes on Bai Yan. So recently he has been using the information on his mobile phone to learn the technique of rolling a boat. As a result, he gave up just halfway through learning. This world is a world with extraordinary power. Why do we have to take a boat to cross the sea? Why can't we take a coconut? Coconuts can originally travel across the ocean, and the coconuts on this desert island are very large. The space is well utilized, and a 3-bedroom and 1 living room can even be dug out of it. As soon as the power of my thinking was activated, his mind opened up instantly. He now has wonderful object, garden of forest country. As long as he hides in the garden and lets this crystal ball float in the sea, he doesn't even need coconuts. All you need is a small, sturdy wooden box, and you can float the crystal ball in the sea for a long journey. The garden of forest country is a space of its own. There are already more than 10 acres of land in the garden. It can grow vegetables every day and be self-sufficient. Moreover, when I was hunting monsters, I had accumulated hundreds of seeds of various white and blue qualities. In the past, it was basically never used because there was no place to grow it. Moreover, he also has a large amount of monster meat stored in his space backpack. If he saves some food, he can eat it for several years. The appearance of the garden in the land of forests added the most important piece of the puzzle for his long journey to sea. The more Wang Meng thought about it, the more he broadened his thinking and became more and more excited. He wished he could go out to sea right now. He really had enough of staying on this broken island. But soon he suppressed the turmoil in his heart and thought twice before acting. There were still some things he had to prepare in advance. First, he decided to chop 2 coconuts and go to the beach to test it out. His current idea is to use coconuts to build a 3-bedroom apartment and put a garden in the coconuts. I usually eat, drink, and enjoy life in the garden. If you get bored, just come out of the coconut and enjoy the scenery of the sea. Isn't this a happy day? Hi Bao, let's go. Take me to find 2 coconuts. Gigi. Hey Bao nodded, and the huge spider body began to change direction, and then turned into a black shadow and disappeared into the woods. Soon, Wang Meng came to the beach holding 2 coconuts as big as a room. Standing on a reef, looking at the sea below, he threw the coconut in his hand so hard that it flew hundreds of meters away. As a result, less than 10 seconds after the huge coconut hit the sea, a huge shadow over 30 meters quickly swam over in the water. A huge mouthful of fangs suddenly broke through the water, swallowed the whole coconut directly, and then disappeared into the sea. It's not as simple as I thought. Could it be that the noise I made when I hit it just now was too loud? So it alerted the monsters under the sea. Wang Meng frowned, quickly ran to the beach holding another coconut, and then gently placed the coconut in the sea. This sea is very strange. There is no high tide or low tide, but there are still wind and waves in the sea. As the wind and waves came one after another, the huge coconut slowly floated into the sea. As a result, before it floated a few hundred meters away, another huge shadow over 40 meters suddenly jumped out of the water and swallowed the coconut again. This time he saw clearly that it was a giant grouper-like beast. Don't groupers eat meat? Are you mistaken? Why do they even eat coconuts? Wang Meng cursed, then turned his head, ran to the side, chopped a piece of wood, and made a square box the size of a football. Since there is a garden anyway, he doesn't want 3 bedrooms and 1 living room on the sea. He can just stay in the garden every day. Throw the small box the size of a football in your hand into the sea. The monsters in this world are all giant-sized. A box the size of a football is probably pitiful in their eyes. There shouldn't be any monsters eating it this time, right? The football-sized wooden box floated into the sea, maybe because it was too small. This time, after a long time, no monsters actually appeared again. Just when Wang Meng was a little happy, a little monster more than 1 meter long suddenly appeared, swallowed the wooden box into his belly in an instant, and disappeared. Is there anything wrong? You guys even eat wood? Wang Meng rubbed his head. The situation in the sea was more complicated than he imagined. If you really let the crystal ball float on the sea, it will probably enter the fish's mouth in minutes. It seemed that he had to make plans again. Looking at the endless sea in front of him, Wang Meng remembered the report that Li Jun showed him before. Blue Star's 14 black restricted areas lead to 14 desert islands, but according to geographical data, although these desert islands look similar and have the same monsters, they are all completely different desert islands. Some experts even speculated that all the players who traveled to the game world and the desert islands they traveled through were independent. This world is bigger than they imagined. I'm afraid there are countless desert islands like this, just like the stars in the sky. Although this conjecture is very crazy, Wang Mang already has a little bit of belief in it. Because he has been searching this desert island for a long time and has not found any traces of humans at all. So from the beginning, he was the only one on this desert island. Looking at the endless sea in front of him again, no matter what dangers there are in the sea, he must set sail and sail away. After making up his mind, Wang Mang took out the crystal ball and entered the garden again. At this time, the garden had undergone earth-shaking changes. The beautiful flowers have disappeared, and except for the open space reserved for houses, he has reclaimed all the places into vegetable plots. In just a few days, the large vegetable fields were already bearing fruit. These were white quality, fast-growing seeds, and their growth cycle was very short. After picking a large ripe watermelon and eating it, he came to a vegetable patch. In addition to some fast-growing seeds that satisfy the taste of the tongue, the garden is basically planted with spiritual plants of various flavors. After changing jobs, he no longer had energy consumption problems. But these spiritual plants not only taste better than ordinary food, but they are also extra. He is also planning to exchange some gold coins with Blue Star. Although Blue Star's players are quite poor, there are so many of them that they can't stand it. And gold coins still have a great effect on him. On the one hand, this not only exchanges for what one needs, but on the other hand, it also enhances the strength of the Blue Star people in disguise. Of course, he could actually give it to Daxia officials for free, but sometimes if he got used to giving it away, some things would go bad. Only equal exchange of interests is the basis for maintaining a long-term relationship. In addition to these spiritual plants, there are 3 very special vegetable plots on the far right side of the garden, on which some white jade mushrooms are being grown. The seeds of these white jade mushrooms were also exploded in the tree man's treasure chest. Looking at the white jade mushroom growing hard in front of him, Wang Mang nodded with satisfaction. He glanced at the mushroom man's crystal ring on his finger. The third skill of this ring was somewhat similar to that of Shadow Spider, but there was a huge difference. First of all, the strength of the mushroom man must be much different, because its strength is generated based on the basic attributes of the summoner. Secondly, if you want to convert the mushroom family, you must use a mature white jade mushroom as a medium. In addition, this skill does not include the duration of the mushroom man's familiar. Doesn't that mean that the summoned mushroom man can actually exist permanently? Wang Mang took out a white jade mushroom from his space backpack. This thing was basically useless to him now, and he would not feel bad if he consumed it. The skills of the mushroom man are activated. As the skill was activated, the white jade mushroom in his hand suddenly began to grow, and then jumped directly from his hand as if it was alive. In just a few breaths, the white jade mushroom grew to more than 1 meter tall, and also grew arms, legs, eyes and nose, turning into a living little mushroom man. Yeah. After the mushroom man appeared, he made a clear sound in his mouth, and then he knelt down directly in front of Wang Mang, worshipping very devoutly. Why does this mushroom man look so weak? It's not at the same level as the Shadow Spider. Wang Mang circled around the mushroom man. This guy was just over 1 meter tall and looked cute. What was the use of summoning it? However, the strength of this mushroom man is calculated based on his basic attributes. Unlike the Shadow Spider, which can take advantage of the boosting effect, garbage is quite normal. With only 10% of my basic attributes, this mushroom man is only twice as strong as the human limit. This is too useless. The only advantage of this mushroom man is probably that it has no duration and can exist permanently. Young man, aren't you a mirror creature? Show me what you are capable of. Wang Mang gave the order to the mushroom man. After hearing this, the mushroom man immediately jumped up happily, and then let out a cute cry, yeah. As soon as he finished speaking, the mushroom man in front of him suddenly began to expand rapidly, and his body shape continued to grow taller. After a few breaths, the cute mushroom man in front of him disappeared, leaving only a 3-meter tall mushroom weirdo with terrifying muscles all over his body. The red body is densely packed with muscles that look like they are exploding. Not only has its temperament undergone a huge change, but even its dull and cute face has become angular and fierce. The previous mushroom cap seemed to have become a knight's hat, worn on the top of the head, looking like someone not to be trifled with. Isn't this my ability? Why can you do it too? Is this a mirror creature? Looking at the mushroom muscle man in front of him, he ran up excitedly, touching left and right. Those strong chest muscles were even bigger than his face. Can you get bigger? Wang Mang asked curiously. He wanted to know where the limit of this mushroom man was. The mushroom muscle man in front of him shook his head. This form was already its limit. Is it only to this extent? That's still a little worse than me. Wang Mang shook his head, but after all, this is just a dependent transformed through the white jade mushroom, and it can exist forever. It's pretty good to have this strength. Turning around and looking at the 3 acres of land in front of him, Wang Mang's eyes were burning. All the white jade mushrooms were planted here, and the mushrooms were harvested one after another. As long as the fertilizer could keep up, he could always get them. Although the mushroom man's strength is not very good, he can mass produce this thing. The 24-hour cooling time, for him, does not exist at all. He took out more than a dozen white jade mushrooms from his space backpack, and then activated his abilities. The mushroom people jumped out of his hands one after another, fell to the ground, grew up, and turned into cute white jade mushroom people. Yeah. As soon as all the mushroom people grew up, they all lay on the ground, crazily kowtowed to Wang Mang, and kept babbling. Looking at the mushroom people in front of him, Wang Mang nodded with satisfaction. Look at how muscular you all are. It would be a pity not to farm. Come, follow Dad. After saying that, Wang Mang's muscles continued to expand, and he instantly turned into a muscular giant more than 5 meters tall. Yeah. All the mushroom people looked at the suddenly muscular Wang Mang in front of them, and their eyes instantly became golden, and they were extremely excited. Bang, bang, bang. As sounds continued, each cute mushroom man instantly turned into a muscular man more than 3 meters tall. They were majestic and high-spirited, with their biceps bulging high. They lined up neatly and quickly followed Wang Mang's footsteps. Wang Mang took all the mushroom people to the vegetable garden. Then he took out 2 blue equipment blueprints from the space backpack, black crystal shovel and crab armor axe. These 2 blueprints were taken from the purple treasure chest. Ever since he got the purple weapon, this thing has been kept in his backpack and is useless. After using the drawing, it instantly turned into light points and integrated into Wang Mang's body. After learning the blueprint, he can make the corresponding standard equipment as long as he consumes the corresponding materials. As for the forging materials, because he jumped through levels and hunted a large number of monsters, a lot of treasure chests of various blue and purple qualities exploded. Except for the first kill and a small number of treasure chests that can produce equipment and blueprints, most treasure chests contain experience books and various forging materials. So as long as he has the blueprints, making blue equipment is very simple for him. It's a pity that after killing monsters for so long, not a single blueprint of purple equipment has been revealed. It is really difficult to obtain high-quality equipment in this game world. Turn on the forging function on the panel and consume materials. After a few hours, there are more than a dozen black gold shovels and crab armor axes in front of you. Looking at the neatly arranged mushroom people standing in front of them, they are really cute. Wang Mang nodded, gave each of them a shovel and an axe, and then began to teach them. Farm. It was rare to find a group of free coolies, so he decided to take good care of his vegetable garden, and he would definitely be able to use the craft of farming after learning it. An hour later, he left half of the mushroom people farming in the garden world, and took the other half to the desert island to start cutting down trees. Recently, he has mastered all the information on making wooden houses on his mobile phone and decided to build himself a real house in the garden world. A true home. Wang Mang sat on the trunk of a giant tree, looking at the sky, dazed, thinking about his thoughts. A few mushroom men below were busy chopping down trees. Suddenly a notification sound appeared on the chat panel, and Li Jun was finally online again. As soon as Li Jun went online, he immediately contacted Wang Mang. Classmate Wang Mang, are you here? Yes. Li Jun was a little strange. Normally, As soon as he went online, Wang Meng would make him chatter for hours. What happened today? But he didn't think much and continued immediately. Classmate Wang Meng, just a few days ago, a larger monster appeared in the 7th Black Restricted Area. Wang Meng looked at the message sent by Li Jun and had already expected it. Every time he hunts a higher level monster, the maximum number of monsters in Blue Star's invasion will be refreshed, and the number will also increase significantly. Boss Xie can barely handle the 30-meter giant monster, but what about the future? He couldn't stop getting stronger, and he didn't want to be trapped on this desert island forever and die alone. Seeing that Wang Meng did not reply to the message, Li Jun could only continue to send messages. Classmate Wang Meng, every move you make is related to the life and death of mankind. Your family is still on Blue Star, and your friends. Wang Meng looked at the messages that Li Jun kept sending, unmoved and a little irritated. In order not to worry his family, he never mentioned the pollution of the desert island to Li Jun. Everyone thought that with his strength, there was no danger in this desert island. He was just staying alone in this desert island, feeling a little lonely. A little lonely, haha. In fact, he has already been on the verge of madness, and now he just wants to blow everything up. Under the calm and peaceful surface, he had long wanted to transform into his strongest form and then have a passionate carnival on this desert island. As time went on, the pollution on this desert island became more and more serious for him. Others thought he had stayed on the desert island for less than a year, but in fact he felt that he had been disconnected from the real world for decades. If it weren't for the video on his cell phone, he would have almost forgotten what his family looked like. You don't need to teach me how to do things, I know what I'm doing. Wang Meng replied coldly, and then there was no more movement. Li Jun was stunned. He looked at the reply in front of him. This was the first time that Wang Meng had such a tough attitude. Classmate Wang Meng, did something happen to you there? If you need help, we. In the middle of speaking, Li Jun suddenly stopped. It seemed that they could do nothing. Even if they can come to the monster world now, with Wang Meng's current strength, if even he feels in danger, then almost no players can help him. What's more, they can't even enter the monster world. After waiting for a long time, Wang Meng sent another message. I hung something in my hair in the auction mall. You take it back and let Bai Yan summon it again. Remember, if you want Bai Yan to summon you at 12 noon on the second day after your return, it must be at 12 noon the next day. After Wang Meng finished speaking, he exited the chat interface. He lay on the tree trunk and looked at the mushroom people who were busy chopping down trees under the tree. The human world is bound to him, and the progress of the monster game will be accelerated because of him. And his family is still in Blue Star, which puts him in a dilemma. Now, he can only rely on the power of the world. If Bai Yan uses the power of the world, he can really summon him back to the real world. Then he can let go of the restrictions and hunt the 100-meter Black King Kong. He had a premonition that after hunting the Black King Kong, the black mosaic figure in the administrator's room would definitely appear again. This will be your chance to leave this deserted island. If Bai Yan still can't summon herself after using the power of the world, then he will still carry out his plan and hunt the 100-meter Black King Kong. You must survive, because according to the original game rules, if he died in the game world, a monster as powerful as himself would probably appear on Blue Star's side. No matter what, he will open the door to hell in the human world. So recently he also figured it out. He is about to die, yet he still cares about the flood. He is just an ordinary person. 3 days later. The day came when Li Jun went offline again. In the past 3 days, Wang Meng did not contact Li Jun again, which made Li Jun uneasy. What happened to Player Zero? Did something happen? Full of worries, Li Jun went offline and returned to the real world again. As soon as he returned, he took Wang Meng's package to a secret room in the underground base of Bureau 826. Soon, Li Yong heard the news and came. What's going on? What did Wang Meng say? Wang Meng seems a little strange recently, and he didn't explain it to me. Li Jun reported everything about the situation at that time, which made Li Yong frown. Open the package and see what Player Zero gave us. When they opened the package, they saw a dazzling golden light reflecting in the room, dazzling their eyes. Material power of the world. Type higher energy. Quality Golden Legend. Introduction. The power of the world from the land of forests possesses magical power. Effect. Used directly, it can temporarily improve one's own strength and world level, and can also be used to strengthen the world. Evaluation. 4 stars. Is this golden legendary quality material? Li Yong looked at the power of the world that was constantly emitting golden light in front of him, and his eyes almost popped out. As the commander-in-chief of the 826th round, he had already obtained the player panel, and even reached level 7, surpassing 80% of the players. Gold quality materials should be of a higher level than purple. Is this kind of treasure accessible to a 7th level player like him? With the recent explosive growth in the number of players, the human world has quickly realized that various high-level materials are very rare. Blue quality materials are already extremely rare treasures among the player community. As for the purple material, only a very small number of people in the entire Washa Kingdom have seen it, let alone own it. Li Yong picked up the power of the world in his hand, his eyes were excited, and his expression management was out of control again. This is probably the only golden quality material in the world. It is the only treasure in the world. Take out your cell phone and make a call. Where are Zhang Xiaolong and the others now? Report, they have just solved the super monster in District 12 and are currently rushing back to District 7. Let others take over their tasks, notify Zhang Xiaolong, and ask him to bring Bai Yan back to the headquarters as quickly as possible. Yes. After hanging up the phone, Li Yong looked at the power of the world in front of him. It seemed that this time they might really be able to see Player Zero. A few hours later, the first team arrived at the secret underground base of Bureau 826. A group of hard-charging soldiers came to Zhang Xiaolong, saluted, and then disappeared behind the door with Zhang Xiaolong and Bai Yan. Dante leaned against the wall, pushed up his glasses, and thought deeply. Recently, the number and level of monsters in the black restricted area have increased, especially in the 7th area, where 30-meter level super monsters often appear. Bai Yan basically spends most of his time guarding District 7. What is going on today? The headquarters is actually willing to let Bai Yan leave District 7. Zheng Tianba next to him also felt something strange. Hey, are you trying to trick Bai Yan again? Why can she eat experience books like jelly beans every day? I don't accept it, I don't accept it. As he spoke, he jumped up angrily. I am also a 5-star talent, so why is there such a big gap in treatment? And on the other side, Zhang Xiaolong and Bai Yan met Li Yong. After a secret communication, they took a plane and left Bureau 826. They walked all the way and came to the valley where Boss Xie was summoned for the first time. Day and night alternate, time flies. The second day. Many soldiers gathered in the valley again, but this time the number was much smaller. On the one hand, it is because of Boss Xie. Its recent performance has impressed the higher-ups. Almost no one thinks that Player Zero is some kind of monster. On the other hand, some experts pointed out that if Player Zero has really reached the intensity shown in the previous video, then only nuclear weapons can truly kill him. So this call was very friendly, and no one brought any weapons. Because just under the canyon, a large-yield nuclear weapon has been buried in advance. Of course, this is just in case. The possibility that Player Zero is a monster is very small, but in this bizarre world, no one can say for sure. Major General Wang looked at his watch and looked a little excited. There were still a few minutes until 12 noon. Player Zero said he would be summoned at 12 o'clock today, right? Yes, he emphasized it twice. Is it possible that the time doesn't match up? It should be no problem. The time flow rate in the two worlds is basically 1:1. Li Jun has given him Blue Star's electronic watch in advance. All he needs to do is match the time in the electronic watch. As the two of them talked, time passed by minute. Soon, Li Yong came to Bai Yan in person and took out the golden material from the space backpack, the power of the world. When the power of the world was taken out, the dazzling golden light illuminated the surroundings, and everyone around them felt as if they were immersed in the warm sunshine, feeling comfortable all over. And on the other side, Wang Meng also picked up an electronic watch and stared at the time on it. The time agreed between him and Li Jun was coming soon, and if nothing else happened, Bai Yan should summon him. Ever since he was almost pulled into the black abyss after the public beta of the game, he has constantly superimposed several layers of super-spiritual states on his body, raising his various resistances to extremely high levels. Bai Yan's last summoning failed, and he suspected that it was partly related to the super-possessed spirit. On the one hand, the super-possessed spirit improved his strength. On the other hand, Bai Yan's ability should also belong to some kind of external force. The strong resistance in the super-possessed state may cause huge interference to Bai Yan's ability. Recently, as his mental pollution on the desert island became more and more serious, he was almost always covered with dozens of layers of super-possessed spirits. In this state, it was impossible for Bai Yan to successfully summon herself back. This is also the reason why Wang Meng made an appointment with Li Jun in advance. He must release the super-possessed state when Bai Yan summons him. As the time got closer and closer to 12 o'clock, Wang Meng began to relieve his physical condition layer by layer. He had to make himself weaker. With each layer of super-possessed spirit removed, Wang Meng's face became more gloomy, as if there was a black shadow covering his entire face. This deserted island affects him every moment. Turning on the phone, the video of the family began to play slowly, with the sound turned up to the maximum. Time passed by minute by minute. As the super-possessed state was lifted layer by layer, the pollution on the deserted island that had been suppressed began to burst out. Weird small black squares began to appear in Wang Meng's body, layer by layer, spreading in the surrounding air like waves. These small black squares are like dense black nematodes. They are constantly twisting their bodies and coming into this world with their teeth and claws. Various murmurs began to appear in the void. Crying, wailing, pain, moaning, countless sounds overlapped and whispered in the ears, seductive and depraved. It's so tiring to live. Why can't I die? You are alone on this isolated island. Even if you are invincible, what can you do? Come on, become one with us. It's so happy here, so happy. Ha ha ha, ha ha ha. You have grown so old and you are still a virgin. It's so shameful, so shameful. Why don't you die? Come on, let's become monsters together so you can go home. Small black worm-like mosaic squares continued to spread from Wang Meng's body, which was weird and evil. Wang Meng lowered his head, his face was blurred by shadows, and only black holes like abyss remained in his eyes. In front of me, the video of my family is still playing on my mobile phone. Son, you don't have to worry about me and your dad. You have to be careful over there. Just stay alive. Brother, if you come back, you must show me your superpowers so that I can brag to my classmates. Son, if you're not happy, just kill him, I'm afraid. Wang Meng, you didn't get this name for nothing. In the huge forest, a young man stood under the shadow of the trees. His whole body seemed to be filled with black mist, strange and evil. I am Wang Meng, I surpass your uncle, I am Wang Meng. With a shocking roar, the young man wrapped in black mist revealed his ferocious white teeth. Just then, Wang Meng's body suddenly began to slowly fade away, and then disappeared from the same place with a snap. 2 minutes ago. Drive Chen, why don't you take your people back first? Li Yong stood aside and spoke politely to a young man with a scholarly face. This young man is currently the hottest new star in the Scientific Research Institute. He was the first to discover the previous monster gene plants, monster magnetic field theory, etc. Moreover, after obtaining the player panel, he also awakened his abilities related to scientific research, and is now extremely authoritative in the field of scientific research. It can be said that his current status is even higher than his own. No, I'm just curious about Player Zero. For such a powerful human being, his body must be of great research value. Dr. Chen spoke slowly, not planning to leave. Li Yong frowned and immediately warned. Drive Chen, my people have contacted Zero before, and his mood may be very unstable recently. Moreover, if you do this, the superiors will not agree. Before Li Yong finished speaking, Dr. Chen interrupted him directly. Director Li, you don't have to be so nervous. I don't mean anything else. I'm just curious. I'll give him a physical examination at most. Dr. Chen smiled softly, looking harmless to humans and animals. But how vicious is Li Yong's vision when he climbed to this position? The greed and madness in Dr. Chen's eyes are too obvious. Shaking his head, he couldn't offend the other party for what he said. He picked up the walkie-talkie and summoned Player Zero this time. He, the director of Bureau 826, personally directed the call. He had also wanted to meet Player Zero for a long time. All departments are ready and proceed as planned. Yes, yes, yes. As the words fell, Major General Wang on the side also spoke excitedly. Bai Yan, don't be nervous, let's start summoning. At this time, there were already thousands of people surrounding them, all of whom were the most elite troops of the Huasha Kingdom, and they had all obtained player panels and had physical fitness several times that of ordinary people. Each of them was once the king of soldiers in the field army. It can be said that this is the strongest superpower army in China at present. Bai Yan stood in the crowd. She nervously held a few hairs, then looked back at Zhang Xiaolong. Zhang Xiaolong nodded to her gently and spoke softly. It's okay, I will protect you. Hearing these words, Bai Yan lowered her head shyly, and then picked up the golden fluorescent power of the world in her hand. The power of the world slowly disappeared, turning into golden light and integrating into Bai Yan's body. Everyone stared at Bai Yan nervously, and the strange black mosaic figure from before was still deep in everyone's mind. This time, can Player Zero really be successfully summoned? With the use of the power of the world, Bai Yan, wrapped in golden light, aimed her hands forward. Ability. Media Summon, activate. The air suddenly became quiet. Even the wind blowing around him stopped. An invisible momentum appeared and swept quickly around in an instant. I saw the space in front of me distorted, and a large black unknown substance suddenly appeared. Countless mosaics like black thin nematodes are intertwined with each other. They are tightly intertwined, like a huge sea urchin-shaped black thread, densely packed, weird and terrifying. In the middle of this black mosaic, countless thin black nematodes are wrapped in layers, forming a strange human shape. As this terrifying and strange monster descended, the invisible aura quickly spread around like ripples again. Wherever he passed, everyone around him felt great fear coming. Just for a moment, everyone present could not bear the terrifying aura of the black mosaic monster and fell to their knees. Everyone's legs were weak, their whole body was shaking, and they were sweating profusely. The black mosaic monster summoned this time is even more terrifying than last time. This is simply an extremely evil god crawling out of the abyss. Major General Wang fell to his knees. His whole body was shaking, and he was so frightened that he did not dare to raise his head. What kind of monster is this? Just standing in front of me, I don't even have the courage to look directly at it. He came from a military family since he was a child. He is a man of steel and never kneels down to anyone. He was once the strongest soldier in the field army and had the toughest will. Even if he faces a 30-meter giant monster, he can still defeat the terrifying monster magnetic field and move forward bravely. But now, he was like a slug, falling to his knees in fear, not even having the courage to raise his head. He can accept his failure. But he couldn't accept his cowardice. Unforgivable, unforgivable, how could I be afraid? Ah! With a low roar, Major General Wang's veins popped out all over his body, his eyes widened, and his whole eyes were filled with bloodshot eyes. His kneeling body slowly struggled to get up, and his lowered head was raised with all his strength. His clothes were soaked with sweat. But as soon as he raised his head, he met the eyes of the black mosaic monster in front of him, which were like black holes in abyss. It was like a little mouse that suddenly raised its head and stared at a ferocious giant tiger. After just looking at each other for a moment, Major General Wang rolled his eyes and fell backwards, instantly unconscious. At this time, Li Yang was also kneeling on the ground in fear. He looked at Major General Wang, who was foaming at the mouth and fainting from the corner of his eyes, and the fear in his heart became even more intense. This monster is stronger than the last one. What went wrong? Why was this kind of monster summoned this time? Have they been trapped in a trap before? No, this time is different from last time. Li Yang lowered his head, closed his eyes and listened carefully. As soon as the black mosaic monster appeared, there were countless whispers in his ears, but there seemed to be other voices among them. I surpass you. Kill you. I am Wang Mang. No matter who it is, no one can bully me. Roll. And as Wang Mang was summoned back to the real world, the thin black worms snarling around him seemed to have been stimulated by some kind of stimulation, and they began to slowly retract into Wang Mang's body. 1 minute later, Wang Mang returned to his original appearance. He opened his eyes suddenly again, breathing heavily. He just seemed to be pulled into the deep seabed, sinking continuously, never ending. That kind of loneliness, helplessness, emptiness, is simply scarier than death. After regaining consciousness, Wang Mang looked up and saw that the surrounding environment had changed drastically. Blocking the dazzling sunlight with his hands, he looked back. A girl in a white dress and a big hat was looking at Wang Mang in front of her with a look of horror and surprise. She also exudes a faint golden fluorescence all over her body, which is the effect of the power of the world. Wang Mang stared blankly at the girl in white in front of him, his head still a little confused. He shifted his gaze and looked back. I saw a group of big men all around, all kneeling on the ground respectfully, as if to welcome his return. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.